Well, it looks like something is wrong. Happy Friday. Let me see. What is happening here? I'm going to give it a second. There we go. Whew. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's great to see you. Happy Friday night. Happy cocktail night. I hope everything is going well out there. Karen, I'm glad you're there because I know that the thing is live. Um, there we go. It's almost like it's a clogged drain, right? This whole app. Thank you. And I don't see anything, and then it's like badoo, 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 and messages start coming through, and I think, okay, is it working? It's working. Oh dear, Karen, great to see you. Good evening. Happy Friday. You just got back from the Atha Biennial. That sounded fantastic. I heard that great news that the next Atha Biennial will be we are going to the word biennial because it is in 2 years in, drum roll please. Well, Karen just said it, so you don't need me to say it. Thank you so much. Uh, Salt Lake City, Utah. And from what I understood, it is the Idaho Guild that's putting it on. And man, I love that part of the country. That's one of the places I used to give tours years ago when I was a tour guide, through Idaho, through that town that I can never remember the name of with the big antler arches, on our way to Wyoming, coming from South Dakota. What a beautiful part of the country. So that's exciting and different. Salt Lake City is such a vibrant city. That sounds absolutely fabulous. Great announcement, great news. I'm very happy to hear that for so many reasons. Linda B., great to see you. Yeah, welcome home, Karen. And Judy Phillips, it's working. Thank you. Something was wrong, right? Something was wrong. Great to see you. Happy Friday night. Kaz, great to see you. Happy gallery night in Wisconsin. I am so heartbroken because I swear I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong. Well, I know of a few things, right? A few things, but I looked. Honest to God, I looked at the internet, and I looked up the Wisconsin Fiber Festival because last year we had such a ball there, and I would have bet my life it was on the same weekend as Tigger. And I feel like I looked at least twice. And then Kaz sent me pictures of her and Robin. And I said, "Oh, what are you doing? Taking a class?" And she said, "No, we're at the Fiber Festival." And I was like, my heart, I just started to get like the sweats, the instant sweats, because I definitely could have gone this weekend. Oh. All right. Well, I'll plan better next week, but next year. But I plan to see you before then. That's for sure. And I can't wait to see more pictures of the Wisconsin Fiber Festival and the Atha Biennial, because they both look like amazing events, and I can't wait to hear and see more. Becky, great to see you. Good evening. Oops, wait a minute. The thing just went by a little bit too fast. Hold on. Evening all from nice and cool Indiana. It is fall there. It is fall here too. It feels great. Great to see you. Diane, great to see you in Fort Worth, Texas. Happy Friday night. I was going to say it doesn't feel like a Friday night. Well, that might be because it's not. Happy Sunday night. I'm so sorry, everyone. Happy Sunday night. I had to delay Friday night because we went to a concert, which we never do on Friday night. It was a Smiths cover band, right? They were like an alternative band, in like the 80s and 90s that I just loved. And when you love that kind of music when you're younger, obviously you love it forever. And I just love it a lot. And it was a cover band. Well, the band is not together, but it was so funny to see so many young people there. Like, God, do I sound old? But so many very young people there, and I thought, what are they here for? But they actually knew all of the words to all of the songs, and it was just so much fun. I brought my two kids. I think it was a little bit loud for Teddy. I think Jocelyn enjoyed it, but I think it made her nervous too because it was an all standing thing. And it wasn't like it was crazy, right? These, like, for the most part, older people and people with other younger kids, and really multi-generational. But people were pushing a little bit to the front, not dangerously so, or we would have been out of there. But I was right in the front. I stationed myself there early because I wanted to be sure I could see everything, right? I'm such a pig. But it was such a lot of fun, although I missed you on Friday. And here we are on Sunday, making up for it with, this is gallery night tonight, if I haven't said that. And what a beautiful collection of rugs we've got tonight to look at, and ideas and projects. It is a very full night. So I'm going to keep going. Dave, speaking of great contributions to the night, good to see you. You are having chicken shawarma. Shawarma. Oh, I love that. Bowl. And I didn't know it came as a bowl. In the Netherlands, they always cut it off of the steaks, like the big meat things. Oh, it's as a bowl. That's interesting. And cider. Cool and clear in Toronto. Well, I've got to take a break and say cheers, my dears, to that. I've got a little glass of wine here. You're saying not so little, right? Is that what you're thinking? Not so little. I have to be careful because I did have I had two drinks, two beverages at the concert. And then I had a drink last night. We had a great day yesterday. I'll tell you about that later. But drinking 3 nights in a row is not something that I have done since I was much younger. It's not great for weight loss either, I'm thinking. But it is cocktail night, and I do feel like it, and it is great to be together. Deborah, great to see you. And you sent something exciting in today, too, for gallery night, something really different. It is a great show tonight. Karen says, chapter 10. Okay, so it's Catherine Buttrick. She is such a great person, and what a great artist. That is fantastic. I didn't realize she was out in that part of the country. So that is chapter 10, ATHA, that will host the next ATHA convention in 2026 in Salt Lake City. That'll be exciting. I hope I can make it to that one, really, because I haven't been out to that part of the country since I was a tour guide. And it's nice to go not with 52 people on a bus. You see? It's fun just to go with the kids and stuff and the family. And yeah, that'd be great. Sounds great. Kaz, man, I missed that so much. I was so upset with myself that I screwed that up. Shannon, great to see you. Good evening to you too, and a huge thank you for putting the show together for me. Huge thank you to Shannon. She assimilates all the bits and pieces that come in. I just forward stuff on, and she sends me this beautiful finished thing that I can just quite quickly put into the show, and I really I'm so grateful to you for doing that. That is really beyond helpful. Melissa, great to see you. I feel like I haven't chatted with you for a while. Great to see you. Ruth, welcome. Great to see you. You sent in 2 beautiful projects, and they are in the same photo, and we're going to look at those later in the show. Are they ever gorgeous? You did a great job. Good to see you, Ruth. Judy says, Becky B, 40s tonight. 40s tonight. Okay, Becky B. 40s tonight. Back up to 90 next week. Oh, Indiana. Here too, it's just a roller coaster ride. I feel like we might be okay for the time being. Hoping we're making that transition to fall. You just hope it's like, once it gets going with like the cooler temps, you just want it to, even if it just stays steady for a while, it's the up and down that drives me crazy. I'm never dressed right, always hot, never parked in the shade when I need to be. It's just so confusing. Mom, great to see you. You just woke up from a nap. Thank goodness you awoke just in time. Oh, I'm glad that you're there. And it's nice to take a nap, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure next year, Kaz. Absolutely for sure. I'm so upset with myself. Ruth said, my husband and I are newbies, and we both hook and do punch needle. Ruth, I can't wait to hear more about your work and your husband's work, what you do together, how you got into it, all of that stuff. I will so look forward to that. I'm so glad that you're both there. Black Thread Studio, Stitching Cafe, great to see you and welcome back. Almost said it again. Happy Sunday. Great to see you. Hi, Deanna. Binge watching your old videos. Can I still get your like Chagall pattern? Yes, in Wisconsin. Oh, another buddy in Wisconsin. Yeah, the Design Like Chagall. Do you mean the class or the pattern that I did for the Design Like book? That should be there. In fact, I just found my version of that the other day. Shannon was finishing it for me, and I forgot, and I thought I had lost it. I don't know where, just, the ether. But I found it, and I put it away. I have both the pattern that I can do, and the class is available online for instant download. And that is one of my favorite classes because he is one of my favorite people. And I will be putting out a design like probably tomorrow. It's been a bit nonstop, but I do have something in my mind now. It's going to be seasonal. It's not going to be an artist. It's going to be seasonal. And then we'll get back to doing artists. And the first one will be photography themed, like we were talking about before. Karen says, as of Tuesday, no one has stepped up yet for the next biennial. Yeah, that is tough. I mean, it is, it's like mounting a campaign for something, right? It's very expensive. It's like hosting the Olympics, different scale. But, it is expensive and it is hard. Not every guild has the funds for that. So That is exciting. I'm glad that it all came together. Kathy Lynch, good to see you in New Hampshire. Kathy, is it the Deerfield show this weekend? Did I miss that too? Or is it coming up next weekend? I'm wondering. I enjoyed that so much last year. Feels like fair weather in New Hampshire. Aw. Catherine, great to see you too. And I'm just catching up a little bit. Yolena, oh, good to see you way past midnight there in Johannesburg, South Africa. Well, it sure is, but it's great to see you. You are so super welcome. Even if you're sleepy, you are so super welcome. South Africa landed up joining here instead of going to sleep. Well, I know that feeling. Sometimes it's just too fun to let go of the night, isn't it? You are so super welcome. Great to see you. And Lena, great to see you on Cape Cod. Yeah, it is all lovely work tonight. Maureen, welcome. Great to see you. Glad to relax and see everyone's work. Amen to that, right? Last weekend in September. Oh, okay, Kathy, I haven't missed it yet. I'll have to see how that goes. I think that is Tigger though, isn't it? I think that's Tigger in Canada. Yeah, it is. Dang it. Busy calendar this year. So let's get started with our night. A couple things I want to remind you, and then we'll have fun and chat during the episode itself. Just want to remind you that our book club is coming up again. There is both the book club, which is like a reader's club, like any book club. And the book that we're reading now is called The Indigo Girl by Natalie Boyd. And that conversation for the book club is coming up on Tuesday, September 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be live for that. The Zoom is announced on Facebook in that announcement. If you need me to send the Zoom because you're not on Facebook, just send me an email at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. That is coming up. And if you read The Sewing Machine by Fergie, something Fergie, N something Fergie already, right? We recorded that, so you can go back and look at the first book in book club. If you've read it, don't do spoiler alert. Make sure you're finished because it'll be there for all of eternity, I hope. So that's there for you too, and the next book club is coming up. If you are in our writer's circle and you are working on a book idea for yourself and you want some help or some knowledge, some answers about putting something together, we have regular meetups for people who are actively working on books or forming ideas to get a project started. And the next one of those, that's the Ribbon Candy Writers Club, right? Different than the book club. That is coming up on this coming Wednesday, September 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you are in that Facebook group, Ribbon Candy Writers Club, the Zoom information is already in there too. So those two events are coming up very soon. Joyce, great to see you. Hello and happy Sunday night in Pennsylvania. Oh, I know, Kathy, I'm going to miss it too. We had such a ball last time, didn't we? Oh, that was fun fooling around up there with you girls. All right, let's get started because there's so much to cover. And we always run over on gallery nights because there's so much content that comes in. And it is all good, and I refuse to rush it. It is that good. So let's come up to gallery night here, and I will keep track of comments as we go along. But let's get started. It is a full night. Such pretty things we're getting in. First one, Valerie Tillman, you sent this in. You said, Deanna, cat approved. Almost done. After my last colorful rainbow rug, I realized I had a huge collection of thrifted browns. Well, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Because if you do get your clothing or your supplies from old clothing, if you are a thrifty kind of a hooker and you get recycled stuff and cut it up, you are bound to get a lot of browns, right? That's just the way it is. It's a numbers game. There are so many browns, grays, blacks, right? So it's exciting to think about doing a project where you could blow through some of those color families if you have lots and lots, right? And Valerie says, and since I listen to oldies as I hook, the tune from the Mamas and the Papas, oh, of course, all the leaves are brown, was running through your head, right? It came on and it was my inspiration. Perfect. That is the perfect inspiration for this rug. Now when I look at that rug, that is the song I'm hearing too. We have a large oak leaf hydrangea that supplied the leaves. Inspiration is all around. Well, I love that. Now let's talk about that. How much fun is it to have a beautiful tree in your yard or in your neighborhood or in your neighbor's yard, and to be able to collect actual leaves from the ground and trace them like stencils. Now that is fun. You could repeat some of them and just have like one of several size families, or you could get each one different because they're each a little bit different, right? Not as different as snowflakes, but still quite different. And what a great composition, Valerie. You managed to position them in such a way that they all had space, they all have importance. You've got a real feeling of flow, a lot of good energy running through this piece. And I think it's just brilliant that you did that nice, soft blue gray with all of those pretty browns, chocolate browns, kind of nutty, more greeny browns, caramel browns, gray browns, right? How great is this? And the little cat, I don't, you didn't say what the name of the little cat is, but what a little sweet pea. That gives us good scale, doesn't it? Because that cat doesn't look like a tiny cat. And I'm thinking this rug is quite big. You did such a nice job putting together stuff from outside your door. And now this will be in your house and maybe even on the floor. It is so pretty. It is like a pretty bed of leaves. My mom wrote, love the colors and the scatter pattern of the leaves. And Ruth says, this is just a beautiful rug. It really is a beautiful rug. And it is a great testament to the fact that their number one is always inspiration all around us. We'll talk about that in this episode a little bit later too. But besides that, even if, and Valerie, you do such great work, but if anyone is coming to this craft as an absolute beginner, and you're thinking, ooh, am I supposed to make my own pattern? I'm not good at drawing. I'm not good at composition and original, design. We don't listen to that. We don't listen to that at all, because if you're someone who would like to do an original composition for a rug, there are so many different things that you can do, and we talk about them so often on this show. Using something as a stencil is what Edward Sands Frost did. It's what Blue Nose Garrett did with a lot of the early patterns. It's what Pearl McGowan did with her postcards, shifting them to make geometric compositions. You can use so many things to create a pattern, and this is just a great example of that conversation. Kathy says, I just love the texture used. Yeah, it really is. It was a very successful rug, and it just goes to make a second point that you don't need a huge amount of colors. You can have a fairly restrained color palette, and it will still look colorful because there's so many browns. This is like a celebration of browns, isn't it? It really is. It's not a drab rug. It's not a boring rug. It has a good folky look, but it's also very artsy looking to me. I could see this being a poster for like a fall festival. I could see this being an actual textile that somebody buys to make drapes or valances or something, really, really pretty. Very well done. And then let's go to, and this is the one, Tara Boyle, that I used for the thumbnail and I used to announce the show, because I can only ever get the show posted with a link the day of. It is one of the great aggravations of my life. I bet that one can do it in advance, but I sure can't. I haven't figured that out at all. Speaking of great songs that inspire rugs, our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Buttons is sitting right here going, uh-oh. I didn't like that lyric, but Pitter Pat is here too. She's sitting right on the rug in front of me. She says, at least one cat is good. This is a beautiful rug. Let's talk about this. Tara put 1989 to 2024. You were looking for the 2 cats in the yard. Well, there are, aren't there? I'm seeing it much smaller than your view, but I'm seeing 3 animals. So we might be talking about cats. I see one that looks like a little fox with little white-tipped ears and a white-tipped tail. Aww. So pretty. So this was just finished. I was watching the progress of this on Facebook. This is 26 inches by 48, and this is for Tara's 35th wedding anniversary as a gift to her hubby. What a gift. The original pattern was a Dion Fitzpatrick. Now, I remember you did this. We talked about this in a past episode. There's a few people who happen to do in one episode of Cocktail Time, of Gallery Night, variations on Dion Fitzpatrick patterns. And I remember we remarked, I think, Melissa, you were one of the people, right? We remarked on it because it was so unlikely. But at the end of the day, the Dion Fitzpatrick pattern catalog is iconic, very recognizable, and certainly one of the sort of pillars of the contemporary rug hooking canon, if that word could be used in this situation. But they are patterns that have recognizable motifs, like faceless characters, mostly women, like villages with lots of stacked houses, right, and swirly skies. So it's great to see an example of one of these patterns that has been adapted to fit the situation, the personality of the person who's making it. So in this case, this great Crosby, Stills and Nash lyric going around the border. And Tara writes, dancing houses with border, which I bought 6 or 7 years ago when it was resigned. Resigned. I reimagined it to reflect our life together. As this Sunday night gallery night is the big day. Oh, so this is the day. Happy anniversary, my love. Happy anniversary. Is the big day I thought I could share it. It will be a while before I work on such a big piece, but I'm happy with the outcome. Love and hugs and thanks for all you do. Oh, so much love to you too, sweetie. I just love this piece. And if you're in our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, Ruth says, is this regular rug hooking or punch needle? Ruth, this is regular rug hooking. It could be done in punch needle. But this is, Tara works in wool strips mostly. And she does a lot with novelty fabrics too, but she does mostly wool strips. And she mostly hooks. If you were to do this piece as a punched piece, right, you would have to remember to reverse the text. That would be the thing. The picture to me looks right this way because it does kind of slide down to the bottom left, and that's better than it sliding down the houses to the bottom right. So with this piece, if I was going to punch it, and I have done this 100 times at least, you have to remember to reverse it because you punch in reverse, but you hook right side up. So this is a hooked piece, and I know that because I know her. Otherwise, it might be hard to tell. But what a beautiful piece. I love multiples in a composition. Multiples of houses make a super friendly, charming village, very romantic, sort of storybook slope to the houses. Very Dion Fitzpatrick. You can see into some of the windows. There are little faces, right? There's something going on. There is life inside some of these windows. Some of them are dim. Some of them are lit. It is absolutely beautiful. The textures, the colors, the collection of colors make the village, right? And make this piece so stunning and so exciting to look at. And the sky, right, is very, very different because we see a lot of sort of Van Gogh swirls in the Dion Fitzpatrick sky. But in this case, it has more of a swatch watch feel to me. It has a bit of an 80s feel. We've got some color blocking, all in blues, that goes really well. And then instead of seeing continuous swirls, right, we're seeing kind of patterning of swirls that's broken up within the color blocking. Super smart. The thing that's really keeping it together, right, is the fact that they're all white swirls. So we're seeing shoots of different colors of skies, right? You know, it's all the sky, but broken into these different hues. And then this white, very graphic swirling, right? Really more 80s style swirling. It's so smart. It's crisp. It's exciting. It gives such great patterning, very filigree patterning to the sky, whereas down below, those houses form a lovely and romantic pattern, but together they're quite heavy. So it's quite heavy down below, totally broken up by colors, right? And different things to look at. But up in the sky, much more broken in filigree. It's a great balance. That great dark border with the words to a song that I think everybody knows and loves, right? Really smart, makes the point. What a gift. It is just gorgeous. So well done, Tara. I absolutely love it. This next piece is by Kathleen Pastore. And she writes, here's my current one, multi-directional hooking. This, and we'll talk about that in a second. This is by Bessie and Tess. This is called Bessie and Tessie by Lucille Festa. And Karen said of the last image, it looks like a European town from a fairy tale. It does. It has that look of those small storybook houses that are really crowded in an old town center, right, where there isn't a lot of real estate because there isn't a lot of space and the houses are virtually on top of each other. It does have that feel, doesn't it? It reminds me kind of like an English cottage scene, but so, so colorful. I know there are villages like this in Canada, which isn't surprising with that long history and that still strong British stamp, right, in so many parts. It does have that feel, Karen. Really pretty. Now, we know Kathleen Pastore for the primitives that she does. She is always busy with primitives, like you, Kathleen Lynch, right? Very, very focused on primitives. And, that is, for those of you who are new to the program, that is one of the many styles you can work in when you are a rug maker. And it is the oldest style, right? The earliest rugs we see are very primitive in nature. It is such a lot of fun and more challenging than you would think to create rugs that are wide cuts of wool, simple shapes, and still exciting and colorful and easy to look at, right? Easy for your eye to decipher. Really much harder than one would think, but such a lot of fun to practice and to work on. When people like primitives, and I really like primitives, sometimes you find it hard to do anything but. And I don't just mean the large cut of the wool, I mean the style, right? And certainly Kathleen Pastore has gotten so good at breaking down these primitive designs. And again, this one is called Bessie and Tessie by Lucille Festa. I met her recently on Cape Cod. Lena, she was there the day, and Cheryl, if you're on, she was there the day we were at the Cape Cod show. She was one of the tables. She had big setup in the back. So much fun. Ryan, welcome. Happy Sunday from North Texas. Sparkling juice drinks and finishing the whipped border of your haunted rug piece. I can't wait to see it so you can photograph it. Peace and love to you too. What a perfect way to end a long week. That's it, right? Looking at all of the amazing work. It's so amazing. Brian, it's great to see you. Kathy, beautiful soft colors. Yet that is one of the things about primitives. It's not just the wide cut. It's not just the simpler lines, right? It's not just the sorts of motifs that we're looking at. It is the color, right? And occasionally, and Kathy Lynch, you do this a lot. You do a primitive that has unlikely colors, lot softer, kind of sometimes more pastel-y or dusty colors, and sometimes you do dark, really bold colors. Interesting. And everybody does things differently, and luckily with rugs you can do different palettes, different looks from one project to the next. This has got kind of classic colors. The color shifts in this make it look like a much older piece, that makes it look like there's been a lot of fading over the years, and there's been some color shifts, particularly with the browns and blacks. It's exciting to look at. It feels historic. It hits you right in the heart. If you are a rug hooker who loves the history of the craft, hits you right in the heart. Welcome, Leah. Good to see you. Your daughter has taken over your YouTube account. Violet Fudge. Well, great to see you, Leah. Hope we are all well here. Great to see you too. And I was I've been watching you work on your next piece, and I'm so excited about that way that's going. I'm so excited about all the work that you do and you just being in the craft. Gail, good morning, my love. How is it in Australia this morning? I hope things are going to be sunny. Well, no, it's sunny, but it is winter there, isn't it? It is, right. And I know because Shannon, you were just over there and you were surprised at how cold it was, even though we know it's opposites, right? It's still surprising. Great to see you. Good morning and happy coffee time to you. Now, this next one is another one by Kathleen Pastore. This second picture is patterned by Mavis Butterfield, Folk Art Chicken. So I'm sorry, I missed showing this one in the last gallery night. I don't know how I did it, but we will take a double feature for sure in this night. So again, very simple lines, another wide cut piece, but this couldn't be more different, right? This is done in very different colors, and it is quite a different pattern. That's really what we know Mavis Butterfield for, right? Doing things with a little bit more whimsy than you get with a traditional, right, old-timey primitive pattern. This has a bit more humor, I think. And it's also in the way that it's hooked, without a doubt, right? The simple chicken there, the folk art chicken, and then around the folk art chicken, we're seeing a couple of oversized cat's paws, right? The circle within the circle within the circle, and a couple of irregularly placed variation on a lamb's tongue, right? The scalloping. Scalloping doesn't have to go all the way around. It can just be in parts, right? In this one, it's in parts. on the cover of my, it's not going to be the cover anymore because I changed my mind, but the first cover I was showing for the haunted rug, I had it only north, south, east, west, not all the way around. This is a further variation where you're just seeing it here and there. It makes for great patterning, great interest. Contemporary primitive. I like that, Kathy. That's exactly what it is. And limited color choice again, right? We're really looking at, we're not going to count black and white, right? Because those are neutrals. So we're really looking at red, purple, and yellow, and a little bit of orange. So we're really looking at 4 actual colors. And yet this reads as a very colorful rug. It is super energized. I love the cat's paws. I like the scalloping. I like the dit dots, the little bubbles all over the place. It is really fun to look at. It's a very irregular use of background space, right? Brings to mind Magdalena Bryner Eby and her famous 19th century pieces. How in the background, right, you don't have to have patterning. It doesn't have to be chock full, right? It can be spaced out. It can have a regular placement of these supporting motifs like the bubbles, like the scallops, like the cat's paws, right? It doesn't have to fill, right? It doesn't have to fill, because once you start filling your background, your piece can become so crowded that it's hard to see. I find it much more fun to just put motifs here and there, keep it irregular, keep them guessing, keep the eye moving. It really energizes the piece, right? A piece like this that's just a chicken with some abstract motifs, it seems like, how could that ever be interesting? Well, look at it. It is impossibly charming. It is super interesting. It's got a great element of storytelling. It reads as very colorful. It's beautifully done, of course. It's a fun piece, and it's a real hat tip to rug hooking heritage, right? To our heritage. Jessica Troyer sent a great, let me read this first before we get in here. I am moving a little bit faster because I don't want to stay like an hour over. I'm almost tired tonight, man. Ryan, you're right. The stripes of color and the tails were so and did you also know it was so colorful and so fun? Did you also notice with the cat's paws, the circles within the circles, that they repeated, but the colors weren't in the same order? It's important to do stuff like that. That's one of the things that this could be. If I phrase it right, it could be, oh, Jessica, you are on deck. It could be the title of a great memoir. If you can get away, this is not, I haven't phrased it right yet. If you can get away from doing stuff that's matchy, you can really loosen up your style. So when I look at primitive, this is where this is going. Like everything I ever needed to learn, I learned from a kindergartner. You know, those kinds of sayings and those books. That kind of a thought. When I started looking at primitives, personally, this is true. It made me realize, because I have a lot of art training, it made me realize, and not in folk art, that it is okay to have things be irregular. And it is more than okay. It really is exciting when you see a composition where things are a bit irregular, right? And it is not what your eye expects. It really keeps you guessing. It keeps you engaged, right? It keeps you invested. That really is one of the things about folk art that taught me about that element of art. And I'm going to go so far as to say, and life, right? Because I know that I always used to be the kind of a person, and my sister pointed this out to me years ago, but I wasn't ready for change. She said, you know, every time we went anywhere shopping into galleries and stuff, I couldn't get like a necklace if it didn't have the matching earrings, right? So this is a little bit OCD too, but it's just like part of my cocktail of insanity, right? My personal cocktail of insanity. But she used to always say, well, you really like the earrings, just get them. You don't have to wear a matching necklace. And I'd be like, yeah, but I do. And I just, you know, and she said this to me for years, and I thought, you have got to be matchy-matchy. This is when I used to be a tour guide. And I like to present myself in a way that, like, I was together. I mean, I wasn't really together, but I'd like to present like I was. And I thought one of the things that helped was having everything be matchy, and perfect. And, you know, she couldn't talk me out of that. But then I got into rug hooking, and I started to look at primitive designs for rugs, but also more primitive folk art. And that's what got me out of that habit, right? It wasn't like I would still be doing it. I would still be doing that exact same thing from now until death. if I hadn't gotten out of that habit. And there's nothing wrong with wearing stuff that matches, but it was a bit of a like a disease with me having to match everything always, you know. Primitive art helps with that because it forces you to loosen up, right? Color wise, everything else. If you force someone to sit down, you hold their face like this in front of the pad and you say, look it down. That's your pattern. You've only got 4 colors. Help you. It's like one of these cooking shows, right? Help yourself to the blacks and the whites and maybe a little bit of gray, but you've only got these colors. Get going. And it's like, what do I do? Opening the fridge and taking out all the ingredients, and that's all I've got. But it's amazing how primitive rugs that have limited color palettes come out so electric color-wise and are so engaging and beautiful, right? So there is a bit of magic there. There is a bit of magic, but it's magic that has a shape, and it's magic that you can do too. I absolutely love all of the pieces that Kathleen Pastori sends in. Jessica, let's go. We are on deck. Hold on, let me just reset myself. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Jessica, you said, hello, Deanna. I hooked this little piece on wool. On wool? Oh, interesting. And experimented a bit to make the flowers look covered in frost. Oh, how fun is that? I outlined them in a metallic, sparkly blue yarn and needle felted some of the white. Let's look at this, right, instead of talking about it, because I think, okay. Oh, I see. So your background is wool, Jessica. That looks more like tailoring wool, like garment wool. It doesn't look like our fuzzy, fluffy door milled wool. Did that work out okay for you? Um, and I mean, obviously it did. It looks beautiful. But I'm actually thinking working with wool that's a little bit thinner, where the weave isn't quite so, where the material isn't quite so fulled, fluffy, bordering on felted, I would think it would be even easier to hook through. This looks gorgeous. I think from your photos, the chronology of the photos you sent, I think this is photo number 1. And then let's move to photo number 2. Yes. Okay. I see. So let me read this again. Hold on. Okay. So you are hooking into wool. That is not brown linen or backing fabric. That is wool. And wool, like all of our rug hooking backings, rug warp, monk's cloth, linen, burlap, wool is also a woven, meaning there are threads that go warp and weft, and that creates tiny little holes in between each warp and weft, up and down, right? And you're, depending on the wool and depending on your hook and depending on what you choose to pull through, right, to hook with, your hook, if it goes through a wool fabric backing and pulls up loops, then you don't have to finish the whole background. You can do something really understated and lovely like this and let that beautiful fawn colored material show in the background. Now, you were experimenting with making the flowers look like they were frost covered. And I can see that in this picture. I can see you've got like roving, or maybe it's some really soft, fluffy, puffy yarn. But are you, I'm going to read the rest of it, but I'm guessing you're needle felting that down. I outlined them in a metallic, sparkly blue yarn. There we go. And needle felted some white. Okay, there we go. So I also see the blue metallic. Isn't that pretty? You know, it's so hard to get metallic material to show on a camera, like in a photograph. You did it. Good job. That looks amazingly great. I love the light blue. I love the frosty white. You said, I want to turn this into something with minimal sewing skills. I'm open to ideas from the group. All right, so let's think about this. So I love what you're doing with the frost. It's that beautiful sort of contrasting, contrary image of like flowers under frost, right? It's so crystalline and beautiful. Yeah, it hooks great, and you can needle felt on it. There we go, right? So you can do quite a few techniques right into the wool. Now you've got this in a hoop right here. Jessica, would you say this is like a 12-inch hoop or like a 16-inch hoop kind of thing? So let's think of some ideas. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna go for the low-hanging fruit and say, of course, a pillow. One thing that you could do with this is you could cut this out and transfer it onto clothing, like the back panel of a denim jacket or something like that. I'm doing 2 of those right now, and I've half done a video for it. I'm almost done, and I'll put that video out. That's one of the things that's happening unofficially at Tigger is people are making these sort of jean jackets or denim jackets, and people are hooking stuff that you then cut in shape to fit that panel and just sewing it on easy peasy, right? You could even put a pretty border around it, like a nice braid or something like that. There's so many nice piece of old lace or something, but you could include it in a garment, and that would be lovely. You could also get a bag, right? Like a heavyweight fabric bag, canvas bag, even wool bags. You see a lot of wool bags. You don't need to sew, right? You could just buy one, even knit bags, and you could just make a panel on it with this piece, right? And you could keep it as a circle, or you could make it a larger shape. Judy says, this is great, Jessica. I'm thinking of all the wool I have that's too loosely woven for cutting into strips for hooking. Now it's foundation for hooking into, exactly, right? You just turn that front upside down with all of the bits and pieces you have that are a nightmare to hook. They now become the background, the backing, and slash background, right? If you want them showing, and it really is a nice effect, isn't it? Who else has some good ideas? I'm thinking you want to keep, I mean, obviously wall pieces and pillows, right? But I'm thinking of other things you could do that could be really fun. I really like the idea of including it on clothing or on an accessory. But I would attach, it'd be really pretty on like a denim tote or something like that. You'd want to be really careful about how you handled it. But if it's on the side and you're conscious of that, it would be durable and it would work great. Dave says, perhaps cut it out in an oval shape and applique it onto a work bag against a jewel-toned velvet. Ooh, that really would be pretty. Oh, I like that. Sensational. Maybe like an eggplant color or something like that. Ooh, or like a dusty plum, like an old plum. Kathy says, keep it in the hoop and hang it on the wall. You know, Jessica, that always looks pretty. Keeping it on the hoop or hanging it on the wall, that works great. That reminds me, I just found like a very pretty frame I've been holding on to for years. Oh, Jessica, it's about 16 inches, so it's large. Okay, so we have to bear that in mind. I want to think about this some more. I really want to think about this some more. I might need, because you don't want to do a lot of sewing with it. You've already said that. You know, one of the I'm thinking at the same time, this would make a beautiful purse. Yeah. One of the things I'm thinking of, a couple of things. So I found this frame that I have, and it is a Victorian frame. It's a very valuable frame. It's a nicey. It's like gesso, and it's white, right? It's painted in white. It's probably all kinds of lead paint going on there. But I don't lick it, right? I'm not licking it. I'm just using it as a frame. But you could think about an existing frame that has the feel of this piece, of this era. This has a real Jacobean feel to me, right? That would be a very old frame. But it would go so nice also into like a white frame. So shabby chic and pretty. So pretty. It could also, if you keep it in the hoop, you could embellish it further and make it into kind of like a dream catcher, right? That's really crossing worlds, right? That's totally different styles. You could do one of those things. Oh, okay, wait a minute. I just got 2 ideas at once. You could do one of those things where you get, wait a minute, let me write the other idea down before I forget. Hold on one second, my brain. Okay. You know how sometimes you go to like, I went to Home Goods the other day. I always do TJ Maxx and Marshalls, but I didn't realize I had a Home Goods near me, and that is like the best. You know, you often see things that like that's like a mirror, like it's the bottom is a mirror and the top is like a cork board or something, like, so it's split. You know, you could do, if you found like one of those split things, whether it's like mirror, picture, cork board, picture, whatever, you could see if it's large enough to do this piece and half of it, and then use the other half as like a cork board for ideas. Or something else. And my other idea is, when you look at this piece, and I know this is so corny, so I apologize in advance, but I am corny. Remember how people always used to do stuff with turning needle work into a clock face? This is like shouting out for that, because when I look at the sort of epicenter of this piece, I think it's blank. I think it's right to the bottom right of that large pink rose. you could mount this, and I know you don't want to do sewing, but they have kits for this. You could mount this and put little clock hands right there. Now, you wouldn't put numbers and stuff on. Oh, you could if you wanted to, right? Because you have that big border. But you could mount it. They have these kits. I see them around. I don't know if they're just on eBay now or if they're still sold in stores. I think they are at like wood places that do like unfinished wood. Do you know what I mean? I've seen them, and it might be new old stock, but there's lots of places that sell like the back for the clock with the hands, the little motor that's like a battery pack, and it's ready to go. Like you just mount something onto it, force like the hands through the center, which would be super easy in this case. Like if you mount it onto a wood backing that's already there. I've seen circles and squares. That could be so cute. Ooh, I mean, let me see if there's any other ideas. I love all of the ideas we're coming up with here. Karen says this would be beautiful on a purse, or make a purse with a stiff lining. It absolutely could be beautiful that way, without any question. Leah says you could wrap it around a large lamp base. The sparkles would shine. Ooh, let me look at that again. That's a good idea. Yeah. I'm trying to gauge the center. I think the center is right in that little triangle of green in the middle. Knowing that there are things you could do. I mean, I'm not thinking of things specifically to pierce your piece, but oh, Ruth, you think Hobby Lobby, you mean the clock things? You think they have those clock things? I love those things because, it's like, obviously, if you're catching a flight, you don't rely on a needlepoint clock, that doesn't have numbers on it, right? Because that's just asking for trouble. But to have it like in your workspace, right? And if it's like, I can tell it's 3 o'clock, it looks like it's between 3 and 4, close enough, right? I'm not taking a flight. It's so pretty for that. And I have to say, when I see like needlepoint clocks and stuff in antique stores, I always pick them up because I just love them. I think they're so charming. Just a thought. Just a thought. Oh, Dave says needle felted onto onto a laptop case. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. As long as you don't carry your case around a lot because you don't want to rough it up. That's a great idea. If your laptop sits mostly on your desk, right, and you just shut the lid, oh, way prettier to look at than the thing that says like Hewlett Packard or whatever, right? Interesting. And my mom also says, I think Michael's has clock kits, yep, that are unfinished wood area. Like I said, it's already got like the circle through it, so you just punch through. Yeah, I think these are all great ideas. Hey, if you think about any more great ideas during the course of the show, everybody, keep going. I'll be able to figure out that we're talking about Jessica's piece, right? I'll be able to figure it out. That's a gorgeous piece. That was exciting, and this was it's exciting to brainstorm, isn't it? Judy says it would also make a beautiful box lid. Yep, that's true. It is large, but it would make a great box lid. Stores often have round and regular wood boxes, rectangular wood. Yeah, they do. That's another good idea. That could be more fiddly to finish, but not impossible. Definitely not impossible. Trying to think of, because I'm looking at it as a circle, but it doesn't have to be a circle. But if you want to stop here with it, then maybe it works well as a circle. I love all of these ideas. Let's keep thinking. So besides these, you sent us another picture that was so exciting. I found 21 skeins of 100% wool at a thrift store for a couple of dollars each. I bought a punch needle from Ribbon Candy Hooking, and I'm going to try it out. I think my 8-year-old daughter, Evie, would enjoy it. She has been doing a lot of process art, doodles, lately. Yes, so has Jocelyn. Isn't that funny? Which I'm crazy about. Here's one of her pieces. I think it turned out to looking like a beautiful ornate picture. I'm going to show you this in just a second. But first, let's just look at this and say, holy molies, isn't it exciting when you have these finds? And it just goes to show that I'm reading the comments and getting distracted, but I'm going to read the rest of those because I'm seeing some more goodies. Ooh, yeah, triple whammy. Isn't it good to be reminded that there are still some great finds in thrift stores? These are beautiful to punch with. The punch that you got from me is like akin to a fine punch, and it works great. I love it. It's the punch that I always use, to be honest. It's good for fine. This is worsted weight. It's going to be perfect. It's going to punch like a dream. This looks a little bit glossy, so it's going to slip through really easily. You might want to go with a slightly higher pile, because you know how I always encourage you to put on those washers from the hardware store, and your punch needle would have come with a washer. Check both first. Check with and without washer, because sometimes the glossy yarns to punch are so glossy and slippy that I punch them a little bit higher because I'm just worried about them slipping just a little bit more than I would be with something really rough. And maybe it's just an optical illusion. I have to say, I love this color palette, and it's great that you happened upon these, and these colors are already set out this way, right? They're super beautiful. One of my favorite colors, I think it might be my number one, is that tomato red. I just love the color. It seems like such a neutral to me, even though it's bright. And, you know, looking at it, people might say, oh, that's too bright. It goes with everything. It goes with winter plaids. It goes with summer rugs with vegetables and flowers. It goes with everything. It's a beautiful color, and you've got 5 of them, you lucky duck. And this is the piece that Evie was working on. This doodles and tangle thing, I think one of those words is copyrighted, so I hope I don't get in trouble. But yeah, it's such a fun way of working, and it does look like a beautiful ornate vase. That would be a beautiful piece to do. I've been seeing a lot lately of multimedia fiber work that really blows my mind. And I've seen this sort of in conjunction with rug hooking and punching, little bits. And I was thinking about this for your hooked piece too, the flowers. I've seen a lot of people doing kind of mashups lately with a little bit of old lace, a little bit of hooking or punching or needlework, a little bit of painting right on your backing, and putting something together that is more like a crazy quilt than a traditional rug design. And it looks great fusing all of these different mediums together, because why not, right? This is what one of the things I'm thinking about when I see this is it'd be great to partly punch, and it would be great to maybe add some needlepoint stitches, right? Just a few stitches in between the punch. Do like a combo. You could get such amazing sort of filigree work in there. You could also, I'm seeing little dit dots, add some beads and things like that. It is just a beautiful piece, and she did a lovely job. It'd be really fun to do that piece for her, and for her to see you working on it. That's a great idea. So let me catch up. Ruth, that's a really great idea. The lid of a cheese box. That really is such a great idea, because when you've got these cheese boxes, whether you've got your yarn in it or your tools in it, the lids close so tight, right? They just scrape closed. And I have some cheese boxes at the studio. I often put something in them because I know the lid is on there good. Unlike, for example, a hat box that's like wallpaper covered. Cheese boxes are good and tight. And I tip them so that they're on a shelf or whatever, and I can see them lined up. And then you do see the lid. That's a great idea. That's a really great idea. I love that, and that's very easy to do. Kathy says, recover an antique footstool. Absolutely, you could do that. I would worry a little, right? And there also are sort of prototypes for the base for like iron. I remember in the first issue of Magpie, Karen with a C. Yeah, Karen with a C. She was making her own iron bottoms, like making them, forging them, right? Of footstools, and then putting these beautiful floral hooked components on top. Those are beautiful. I would worry a little bit with a piece that had some background showing. The only reason I say that is because I think one of the things with footstools, because I use needlepoint footstools constantly, because I'm such a little shrimp. Wherever I'm sitting, I'm just not comfortable. I always have my feet up like this much. The thing about when the whole thing is not done is the edges are more vulnerable, like the edges of the flowers and the stems, and all of that would be a lot more vulnerable. When everything is packed to get, not packed necessarily, but when everything is hooked together and it's all packed in there and it's one big surface of fabric, there's safety in numbers, right? But when you've got edges and stuff, if your foot touches it, it might rub and do some damage. Maybe not, but I mean, my mind would be worried about that. I have been wrong about so many things in my life. That's probably just another one. I think it's a great idea, but if I were going to do a footstool for myself, I'd be tempted to fill in the background too, because I'd be just a little bit worried, unless it's mostly decorative. And Karen says, mounted on a circular tray with plexiglass over it. That's a great idea too. That is a great idea. Be careful about having plexiglass touch fiber though, because gases build up between glass or plastic and fiber because fiber is so warm, right? Particularly if it's actually wool, and this is all wool. So sometimes you go to an antique store and you find like a beautiful old hook piece and it's under glass and it's all fogged up on the inside, and that's bad because that means it's keeping the wool moist, right? So it's getting smelly and it might be sort of biodegrading. So you want to be careful about anything on it. But depending on how you use the tray, or if there's a good little space, right, and you know that the loops aren't touching the plexiglass, that could work. That could definitely work. I know I have a few antique, like early Victorian, reverse painted glass trays with glass on top that are meant to carry cocktails, drinks, like drinks trays, but it's reverse painted glass with glass on top. All of those have unfixable damage because the glass on the surface of the in this case painting killed it. But that, I mean, it's over 150 years, so it really depends on what your timeline is. Also, Karen says, I don't think about moisture out here. That's true. Yeah, that's true because you're out in Colorado, so you don't have that same problem. I have that problem right here in this little. I'm recording a show. Sorry, Teddy. I'm recording a show. He's got a 10-minute memory. I'm in the little playroom here that's not my studio at home, and we have got double, I guess, glazing, and there's big slide windows. They're big irregular slide windows, which are great, you know, now when it's cool during the day. But somehow, air, gas, whatever, got between the two panes, and it's like all smoky and cloudy in there. You know what I mean? And you can't undo it. Like you can't, it doesn't open. They're like together, they're inside the window. So that's really aggravating for me because it looks crappy and it's killing the sunlight, right? Which in the summer is great, but I'm going to want that sunlight. It just looks awful, you know? It really depends on where you are if you need to even think about that. But I love these kinds of conversation. Going to say the same thing. Coke's on you. These are all great ideas. You could make any of these ideas work. The cheese box, the footstool, having it framed, putting it into the tray. Judy says, Judy, what was your first one? You had a first one. Box lid, right? There's so many things that you could do that would work great. Let us know what you choose. No pressure, but let us know when you choose. It'd be fun to talk about it again. Ruth says, LOL, I've hollered at my husband when recording. Yeah, it does happen, doesn't it? It happens. Oh man, these kids. He comes down the stairs like he's like possessed, right? Like he's like seriously like Sybil. And he's like talking crazy, and I just hope that you can hear it on the camera. All right, so yeah, Jessica, I hope you do make something out of this. Evie did a great job. That is such a pretty piece. Ooh, Diane's going to come up with a tip to help with fogging glass windows. That's what it is. It is fogging. I'm going to look forward to the second half of that comment because this is driving me nuts. So now this is a stunning piece by, ooh, would a dehumidifier help? You know, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I wonder if I put a small one right on that window ledge. Maybe that could do something. That's a good idea. Thank you, Diane. That's really smart. I'm going to give that a shot because why not, right? It drives me nuts. That's a really good idea. Humidity is very high out here. Kathy, when my son was, this is Kathy Lynch, when my son was 5, we took him to see a production of The Nutcracker. It was the start of 40 years of collecting nutcrackers. I know he won't have this one in his collection yet. That's true. It's a W Cushing pattern hooked on linen in a number 6 cut. Now I just have to keep myself from giving it to him prior to Christmas. I know it's so tempting, isn't it? The large one is, oh, and then you have 2 others that you sent me. So I just want to say this is just adorable. Kathy, you do so much with these cool metal hanger things. I know we've talked about this before, but I love that you hang so much stuff with this. It's so fun. It's so perfect. It finishes it off so well, doesn't it? Great piece. Primitive in its cut, I think, but you've got a lot going on here. Nice oatmeal background, kind of tan border, very neutral, right? Very good to give as a gift. And a nutcracker, so perfect. I wonder if he's going to line up his little army of nutcrackers around this piece. It's going to be just gorgeous. What a pretty piece. I just love it. I just love it. I also collect nutcrackers. My dad used to get me one every year when we went away for Thanksgiving. And I have all those. And then since he's been gone, I've bought myself some. So I have a nice little collection going. This is the first year, I have to say, breaking from tradition. We haven't gone away for Thanksgiving. We always go to Concord, Mass, but not at Thanksgiving since he's been gone because it's just too sad. And this will be the first Thanksgiving that we go away and have Thanksgiving at the inn. And yeah, I think it's going to feel right. I think it's going to feel great because it's been a long time. But I think in keeping with that tradition, I'm probably going to go to the same store where he always bought me a nutcracker, and I'm going to get a nutcracker there too, and just complete and return to that tradition. It's hard. I am not good with change, and I'm not good with loss like that, so we'll see how it goes. But this nutcracker reminds me of how great they are and how great they look in multiples. Your son is going to love this, Kathy. That is just, it is so well done. It's such a beautiful piece, and it is absolutely the perfect gift. You did a couple other things that you said you got done just in time for the Deerfield Fair. So this is a large one. It is a large one. This is 38 by 57, and it is hooked in a 6 cut. That's my favorite cut. This is absolutely beautiful. You're seeing it, I think, larger than I'm seeing it. I just love this design, right? It has sort of a William Morris feel to it. It's got a little bit of an Art Nouveau feel to it, but it's very geometric too because of that center cross. Many borders, but it has that hat tip to primitive because of the stars in the corner, right? You see what I mean? William Morris didn't do those kinds of stars, that's for sure. But it is so lovely, Kathy. The light blue dit dots on the sort of are those, what are those, ginkgo leaves, something like that? Uh, sorry. They look like they're standing up. Are they standing up, or is that an optical illusion? They look a little bit raised, and I see some dit dots in the border, in the triangles that look a little bit raised too. The colors in this are absolutely amazing. It is sort of primitive, but that background blue is not super primitive. Could be mushrooms. Could be mushrooms. So pretty. I think Kathy's on in case she ran off, not raised. Okay, that's just a great effect. They pop so much, they look raised. You've got amazing contrast happening there. It looks almost like ironwork, the center. Beautiful. What I was going to say was it's very primitive colors except that blue. That inky blue that leans toward purple, that's definitely not a primitive color. And that is exactly why it works so well with this kind of celery green color. Not quite celery, it's more warm, isn't it? Those colors work so well together because they are working against each other. And that creates drama, contrast. This rug is just unreal. It is just unreal. And this is another great rug. You have been busy. So this is a snowman, also done in number 6. You got them finished just in time. Are you keeping this piece, Kathy? This is just adorable. Different. It's really a lot of different purples in the center. Let's come back here. You know what? Let me make this a little bit bigger, mostly for myself. I know you can see it bigger, but let me make it a little bit bigger here too. I'm taking you for a ride. Oh, I see. I see. Oh, that is so good. That is really some crazy hit or miss shading in the background you've got going. That is a real marble cake, isn't it, in purples? So beautiful, Kathy. You are so good at primitives. You take the best out of you take you put the design into the crucible, right? Your little crucible, and you burn away at it until you end up with the main motifs, and then you pop those motifs, right? Like a genius. And once you nail down the parts that keep the composition stable, color-wise and line-wise, then you tend to go crazy with unexpected colors. And that's what makes them wildly successful. Not just different and like, oh, that's nice, but really stand out and memorable. This is a really stand out and memorable piece. It's absolutely gorgeous. Oh, Judy, good to see you. We are still here. I'm happy you're there too. Absolutely beautiful. And your snowman is also gorgeous. I love it when snowmen are Oops, wait a minute. I have to go up one. Hang on. There we go. I love it when, oh, I see little beads on his face and on his body. I love it when snowmen are doing things like are active, like they're alive, right? And in this case, the snowman is kind of cuddling some black sheep. Beautiful composition with the trees up on the sides, right? Lovely, strong directional hooking in that nice winter blue-gray color. Nice horizontal hooking going across the back. It's really helping the trees pop, right? They are skeletal. They are like broken umbrellas. They are, to quote Stephen Sondheim, they are just gorgeous in silhouette, and they work so well against this really careful directional hooking in the background. I love the little drift that rises up and makes it possible for one sheep to be higher up, right? So much more interesting than a composition when both sheep are at the same level, right? Because then you got bookends. You got snowman, two sheep on the sides. With this little drift of snow going up on this gray stonework, so smart, so sort of eye-catching, and it makes it possible for that second sheep to be in a different place. It makes the composition so much more interesting, right, than if they're just standing there on the ground. This is a beautiful composition, and you have hooked it beautifully. I love how you hooked the trees with a textured wool. It's not solid. And I love how you hooked the sort of flagstony old stone wall, right? It looks just like old stone walls do, with pieces kind of falling and shifting and leaning onto each other. It's not perfect like brickwork. It's just gorgeous. Another gorgeous piece. Kathy, your stuff is just, it's amazing. I'm so sad I can't go to that fair. It's, this is the thing about busy times, isn't it? I'm so happy to be busy, and I'm so grateful to be busy. But I am so busy right now. It's not just the book. It's like, I think I've got 7 speaking events in the next 6 weeks, which is great, and teaching events, which is great. And I'm going to Canada, too, for Tigger. And I'm trying to do some stuff with the kids, too. Right, it's just a lot. I will miss you and the gang at the Deerfield show. Maybe I can come up and visit another time, and we can fool around and do fun stuff up there, like when we did the show over the winter. Right, that was so much fun. All right, let's come back over here. Great pieces, Kathy. Thank you so much. And Kaz, you sent a gorgeous piece. Oh my word. You wrote, "Good evening, and how are you? You said you weren't sure if you were having a gallery." No, you're right. You're right. I just, when I'm shifting gallery night because things come up, I always save your pieces. But always feel free to remind me, right? Because I'm not like always with it completely. Always feel free to remind me. But the plan is to always save your stuff so we can see it on the next show. So Kaz, this was a little while back, right? Not that long ago. When was this, Kaz? The class. Kaz wrote, "I took an online workshop taught by Betty Ann Cormier to learn Chetty Camp style rug hooking. This workshop was hosted by Robin Whitford of Hooking Outside the Lines in July. You know I love her. Betty Ann's husband made these tiny hooks. Oh, wow. Those are precious. Look at that. That is just precious. He made those tiny hooks. Chetty Camp style rug hooking is done on burlap, and you hook each hole. We each received Betty Ann's kit and hooked a 5x5 piece. Whoa, if that's 5x5, then that little hook is like 3 inches, isn't it? Wow, that's really small. Oh my gosh, I just had a revelation. It was such an informative workshop because Betty Ann talked a lot about the history and tradition of Chetty Camp rug hooking. She really is the person, isn't she? She really is the go-to person, the font of knowledge on this subject. Kaz, this is absolutely gorgeous. And this is hooked in yarn. And I'm guessing it's 100% wool. And the quarter is there for scale. That helps a lot. This looks like something for a dollhouse. It's so exquisitely tiny and perfect. Kaz, did the colors come with the kit? In July. Okay, so not long ago. The colors are so perfect. I love the 2 different greens. I love the red. I love that kind of squash color with the buttercup yellow. It's very soft in that white background with the black wing. Striking. I'm just going to walk away for a split second because I think I figured something out. Now hang on. I'm going to come back to you here for a second. I just picked this up from over there, and I was wondering what this guy was. Thinking, not really having any thoughts. This is tiny, right? This is tiny, like this kind of tiny. I bet it's a Chetty Camp hook. Do you think? Does that look like the kind of size? And it looks like the kind of shape. Doesn't have anything happening. It's just no marks or anything. It's just small. That's it. How crazy is that? That is like a tiny, tiny, tiny little thing. So precious. I mean, I've got all of these big hooks, but I mean, they're like monsters in there. I should almost put him in a different place. He's going to get hurt in there with all those big monsters. That is just adorable. That was a great revelation. Thank you, Kaz. I didn't know that's what that was. Shame on me. I don't know much about Chetty Camp hooking. Chetty Camp history, yes. Chetty Camp hooking, no. Betty Ann is your girl for that. There's no doubt about that. What a lot of fun that class must have been. Now, I know we did a show with Robin before then, and she said, Robin Whitford, Hooking Outside the Lines. And I hope that you're subscribed to her channel, everybody. Her, is it like, it's like a blog, right? Because she's always announcing things in her Facebook group. She's always announcing things. She's got lots of stuff going on. And she has hosted Betty Ann at least twice. And that class sells out so fast because everybody's interested in learning from Betty Ann. So Kaz, you must feel like it was a real privilege to be able to learn with her. And I bet that class sold out too. And I hope that there are more classes coming. If there are, I really want to sign up for one. I always miss stuff like this because I'm going to set, I don't want to have like ask for a special favor, but I think I'll write to Robin and ask if she's going to do another one because I really would like to do that too. And I absolutely love the pattern that you did. Kaz, this is so beautiful. Just something else for your amazing and vast bag of tricks, right? I absolutely love it. So pretty. Kaz says Betty Ann is having a workshop at her place next year in person. So she's like Nova Scotia? Interesting. There's a lot to do up there, that's for sure, in that area. Okay. So, Deborah, I'm coming. You are on deck. Here we go. Deborah, what a great project you started here. You said, I was inspired by rugs made by Barbara Cornish, and she is on vacation right now, in our ribbon candy hooking group. And this is the ribbon candy. This is the Facebook group that is not called Ribbon Candy Hooking. It is called Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. But it is the Ribbon Candy Hooking brand. And confusingly enough, I have to have a Ribbon Candy Hooking Facebook page because you kind of have to because people write to me on it. But our actual page is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. We're getting, I think, close to 23,000 people in that group now. All nice people. Because you know what we do with the people who are not nice, we press the eject button immediately. None of that. It is a great group. And Deborah, you were inspired by some rugs that Barbara Cornish was making. She was making these striped table runners. I'm having a show next summer. Ooh! And I thought I'd try to make a couple of these for her. Hers are beautiful. I just started my first one and it's shorter than hers. These are the colors in my bedroom. Oh, perfect. So I can use it there or out in the living room during the holidays. Simple pattern, but a fun little project. Well, it is a simple pattern, but you know, it is fun and it is a nice crossover because these striped rugs look like wovens, don't they? And that is excited for us as rug hookers. You're doing something that is very strongly patterned and formulaic. Hold on just a second. I'm just catching up. Ruth said, does she have a Facebook group? I think she does. I think it's Hooking Outside the Lines. I think so. And Cass says, Betty Ann said she would arrange a ride for people from Halifax to her place. Well, that's very tempting. Karen says, I did Betty Ann's Purple Pansy class. She lives in Chetty Camp, but is currently in another Canadian city while she studies for her doctorate in Chetty Camp. Holy mackerel. That is exciting. Ruth, I think so. If anybody, I feel like I should know off the top of my head, but I did the show with Robin a while back, and although I consider her a great friend, I should know on the tip of my tongue, like everybody's info, but there's so many buddies, you know. She's in Quebec, Michelle says. Okay, great info. Now, Deborah, while a rug like this can be done as a hit or miss, right, where things are stopping and starting in different places, looking more like a traditional rag rug. You are doing something that is much more stripe driven, and it is much more pattern driven, and it is looking beautiful. I can only imagine how it's going to evolve. You said, I've changed the thick white stripe by replacing the two center rows with red. Oh, interesting. Much better. Okay. Well, we'll look forward to seeing that in the next one. I see. Now, do you mean like you replaced the red? Is that done already on the far left where we see the white stripy and then the single reds on the side? Is that what you mean? I'm loving the colors. You know, I always associate red and green with Christmas, but this does not look Christmassy to me. This looks like it could be out on the table as a runner, on a sideboard or whatever, all through the year. It has a great primitive feel. I love the way that the darks are reading as shadows, right? It's a great exercise to do this. You know, it's so good to sometimes rinse your brain from one busy. Okay, so you had already started it on the left, and that really is standing out. I have to say, I do prefer the red. Now, are you going to do one that's red outlined, one that's black outlined, one that's red outlined in a pattern the way you have here? Because I really like that. It is fun to sometimes rinse your brain and do a project that is very technical, right? Like this, particularly after you've come off of a project that is wildly over-sensory and detailed, right? Sometimes it's nice to just say, not that this is easy, right? But just say, I'm doing this, it's all straight shots, I'm doing it in this color pattern, have to be careful about that color pattern. I feel like I haven't done a project like this, but I feel like it would be a lot of fun and feel like you're almost weaving a little bit, right? Just mindful of, or knitting, right? Mindful of changes from row to row, but not filling in areas and going around things and making decisions constantly. It's a great idea to do a project like this, to practice your technique, get a strong technique, learn how to work a little bit faster. If you feel like you're a slow worker, I don't mean you, Deborah, I mean one. Um, it's a great working on projects that have a lot of straight shots. That's a great way to get your technique going for hooking faster, if that is your goal, right? That has always been my goal, and I am a fast hooker now. And it's from doing projects that have a lot of simple straight shots. So many benefits to doing a project like this, besides it just being an absolutely beautiful piece and something that will be useful, something that will be great for the show. Congratulations on that. It's a beautiful piece, and I cannot wait to see it evolve. All right, let's see. Karen, you sent in a gorgeous piece as well. This is the piece I am currently working on. It's a David Galshu pattern. I've been hooking it with 3 and 6 cuts. Well, Karen, you are the right person for this. David's patterns are glorious. Now, I know he has a Facebook page. I belong to that page, and I absolutely love it. I'm going to stretch this open a little bit. David is a painter, and he is exquisite and extraordinary. His work is just incredible. Amazing storytelling pieces, right? You can see with this piece, I'm just going to stretch it a little bit. The border is both floral and it features more birds. It has a little bit of an Asian quality to it, right? With the birdhouse done in the kind of, what's the word? Pagoda, like a pagoda style, right? Absolutely beautiful. Now, Karen, what is the color planning situation with this? Are you doing all the color planning yourself? Because to me, as a person who doesn't work, who's not this good, to me this is like, whoa, that robin's egg blue is really popping it. I'm wondering if that is the color that he had in the background going. It's incredible. It's an incredible popper. You are absolutely the right person to be doing this. The shading is beautiful. All of the effects you've got going are just stunning. His pieces are exquisite, painstaking, and extraordinary. Linda says those flowers are so successful. They are so successful. Different styles of flowers, right? There's 3 different styles that I'm looking at, posed in different ways, but that is extraordinary. The background is his. I think it's the perfect color. I really do. Robin's egg blue, with these sort of warm vanillas and the neutrals, the browns, and then these pops of red, pink, blue, orange. It is just, Olivia, good to see you. I'm sorry I didn't see you log on. I would have said hi. Good to see you. It is gorgeous. It is just gorgeous. There's so much to see here. I mean, these pieces are incredible. You have to keep taking photographs of it as you go along, and we want to keep looking at it. It is just beautiful. It looks much busier northwest than it does southeast. So I'm curious about how all that's going to resolve itself. Maybe not. Maybe it's just in my mind. Maybe it's balanced equally. Karen says the three lower salmon flowers are your interpretation. The three lower salmon. Okay, so the ones that are orangey, those are beautiful. They really stand out, particularly for me, the one on the bottom left, but I also love the one that is more of a rose. Absolutely gorgeous. The directional hooking in the pagoda is also gorgeous. The shading is very thoughtful. You can see it gets darker over to the left. It's just beautiful. It's just phenomenally beautiful. Such a gorgeous piece. Make sure that you keep us updated. On the next gallery night, I hope that we can show progress, or maybe you're so fast, maybe you'll have finished it by then. Michelle, Michelle, you sweetie, you sent such a nice message. Good evening. I just wanted to share this first and only rug hooked piece that I ever purchased only last year. It was after watching a gallery night. I got it in my head to look around at our antique shops for rug hooking. The very first store offered me this unique little, not quite so little, it's 1.5 yards wide. Oh, that's very big. It was right there at that store. Michelle said, and this is Michelle Holler, I came home with said treasure and began the hunt. Who might have locally made this item? Were they still alive? Did they still hook? You are so romantic, Michelle. Were they in a rug hooking group? So many questions. With the help of our new fiber friends, I found my way into a knitting group, and these ladies did indeed know her. Unfortunately, she had passed, but I feel as though she was calling out for me to find my way through her work. I am forever grateful to this rug hooking community across many lands and hearts. Thank you all. Thank you all who share so openly. Oh, Michelle, that is just the best. I love this story. Leave it to you. You know, you come up with these great stories and projects. I had not heard this from you. This is a great entry for tonight. This is just a beautiful piece. It does look like an older piece. I would have put it at maybe a 1950s, 1960s piece. I don't recognize the pattern, but it does remind me of, I'm trying to think of which Canadian house it is. It's not Riddermere. It's not Garrett Bluenose. I remember, I'm going to have to think on it. I saw something that was quite similar to this, and I'm wondering if it was, I'm wondering if it's a Canadian pattern. It is absolutely beautiful. It could also be an original, right? It looks like a very specific place. I guess it's a lighthouse, but it looks like it's on some crashing waves. It's on an inlet. These things are kind of universal, but it does have a slightly interesting perspective. It almost is like looking into a basin, you know? What a beautiful piece. But the magic of this is how you kind of hunted around. You found people who might be good leads, and they turned out to be people who actually knew her. And that must have made you feel great, right? I can't imagine how that felt. That is putting the whole thing full circle. Disappointing that she's gone. But you are holding a piece of her life's work and many hours of her time, and you are the steward of this piece. It is exciting. And it just goes to show it is not impossible to ferret around and find stuff out. And God, what a beautiful story, Michelle. Absolutely love it. And I love you. Beautiful. Dave, you sent something wild and crazy and different, and it got me so excited. I'm just going to have a quick sip. Dave, you always send such great inspiration stuff, because rug hooking is not just about rugs. It's about inspiration and where you find it, right? We said that earlier. This is what I was building up to. Hang on. So let me read this. Dave wrote, here are a few pictures from an art exhibit in August. The project is called Art on Barton. It was a collective effort of young local Toronto artists showcasing their talent within the walls of a house located at 91 Barton Street. And Dave, this is Toronto, right? The artist's work, because I remember you telling me that there was a big, and I'm wondering if we can get together when I'm up there at the end of the month. You said there was a big, we saw this in Rug Hooking Magazine one month too, graffiti movement, but artful, right? Not like disrespectful, but artful. And that's what this house reminds me of for sure. The artists worked with a developer to use the house for art before it was redeveloped into a new multi-unit building. Wah, wah. It was a great art show, very grassroots, free to the public, with hopes of using future properties for additional shows. This is just brilliant. This is just brilliant. The exhibit felt different depending on which room you were in. I'm going to show you all these photos, and whether or not, how alone you were, right? Whether you were alone or not. Parts of it felt scary and weird and psychedelic, energizing and euphoric. Found objects left behind were used. Visitors were allowed, we're going to walk through the house together in a minute. Visitors were allowed to open cupboards and drawers and find treasures and more art inside. I'll preface this by saying that this is not everyone's idea of art, and people certainly expressed their opinions, good and bad. Well, I hope that they express them with a lip zipper on, right? Because this is basically an installation piece. This is living art, right? By definition, it's modern art. And it is not everybody's cup of tea. And if you're standing there knowing what the project is about and you don't like modern art and in all of its manifestations, then you're probably at the wrong address when this thing opened, right? Anyways, use what you like and discard it well. I only took a couple out because I knew I was getting crowded, but I put my favorites in, right? Because that's the kind of pig that I am. So we have one picture. Let's go through this house together. It is a great inspiration piece. See how it makes you feel, right? Art is about how it makes you feel. It's not if you think it's good, right? It's not if you think it's good. It's how it makes you feel. You might feel different than the person next to you, right? So we're seeing things like this, right? Bits that are standing what looks like outside, an old broken piano. So I would buy this in a flash, I'll tell you. Useless or not, I absolutely love this piece, and I love the painted piece of furniture behind it. So I'm going to kind of flicker through here. These are crowds waiting to go in. I think it's amazing that it was open to the public. May says, "Hi, I have an idea for the beautiful rug cooking around." Oh, okay. Let me pause for 1 second before we enter. Jessica, I think this is for you. May says, "I have an idea for the beautiful flower rug cooking around candle table that has an inset in the top." That is a great idea. That has an inset. So this is a piece of like early American furniture. That's what I know candle tables to be. They do have, they are round and they are smallish. Has an inset on the top. Then lay a piece of glass over it for needlework. Exactly. So it's like recessed a little bit. Put your piece in and then lay a piece of glass over it. That is an amazing idea. That is so quaint and that fits so well because candle tables also fit really well into like the Jacobean furniture, right? That aesthetic. So that would work great because the piece is a little bit Jacobean. If you don't know what a candle mats were a big thing, right? And people who do penny rugs do a lot of candle mats. It's kind of a penny rug thing, but why not rug hooking? That's a great idea, May. If you don't know what a candle table is, Google it. You're going to fall in love. If you love like old stuff, you're going to fall in love. Super romantic. So the glass won't touch the fiber. Absolutely. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well done. So get ready to enter the house. We are there with the crowds. I think it's amazing. Creating something artistic like this so people can come and feed, right? Feed your soul. Take a look, right? Whether you like it or not. Again, it's not, you like it or not. You take the bits that you like and you leave the parts that you don't, right? So walking in, this is the kitchen. I mean, this is so specific. It is so beautiful. I bet there's all kinds of talk about, let's not, somebody must want to buy this house. I know it's not for everybody. I'm not sure even if it's for me, because it's a lot, but it is so, this reminds me of a velvet painting, right? You see the image of the woman over on the right with the tiger face. I have a close-up of the tiger face later, but you see how things are painted differently, really close up with the cans, and they're making these kind of rose mailing, right? These kind of oval marks. It looks like rose mailing, but it's done in spray paint. Crazy. And here's some of the spray paint cans, right? So much you can do with spray paint now. It's just incredible. My sister works a lot with it. Moving into different parts of the house, you see how the painting is right over the walls of the house, and in this case, the fireplace. How cool is that? I mean, I absolutely love this. This is a close-up of the tiger face. Look at how beautifully the lines are cut, right? Like stencils. They're stencils, right? And then you get a little bit of softening once you get your basic shapes in there. But this is a great craft. Anything with stencils and spray paint is a great, easily transferable craft to rug making because of the simple lines, right? Another moment in time, the shag rug on the carpet gives us an idea of the age of the house. You see the sort of molded, yes, Kathy, Maud Lewis painted the whole interior of her tiny house, right? The whole thing. Just a downstairs with like one loft room upstairs, and she painted the whole thing. This is the same idea, right? Also Canada. So we're seeing remnants of what looked like a very 70s house, the railing, the shag carpet, the sort of raised wallpaper, and they've spray painted right over it, designs. And hey, there's some little leftover cows. There they are, prancing across the prairie on one of the middle steps. Fantastic. Just interesting to look at. Both of those motifs were in this room. So you can see that the house itself might not be, I don't mean the painting, I mean just the style of house. I mean, I love it personally, but I know it's not everybody's taste. This is a great, great project. What a great idea. This is incredible, like the glow-in-the-dark spray paint, little bit trippy and, references to hallucinating, right? But also references to a little bit edgy stained glass windows. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful work, whether you like the subject or not. This is very graphic and appealing commercially. It's very artful and it's very well done. It's very well done. So liking it or not liking it, it's just different and fun. And this is an interesting shot because you're seeing the mural on the wall, that the painted dresser kind of melts into the background, and even the tip of the those fins that on the back of the fish, right? Fish has human legs, right? Great storytelling happening here, right? It kind of reaches up the fins onto the dresser. Very different, right? If you are a person who is an artist, who is open, who finds inspiration everywhere you go, right? You might not like Dave said, every room of it, right? Some of the rooms of this house, some of the art that you're seeing might make you feel uncomfortable. It's not your taste. It has connotations. For me, anything that has to do with drugs backs me up hugely. I am super freaked out about the idea of drugs at all, ever, and I always have been, in an unnatural way, right? I'm hypersensitive. So that would have made me uncomfortable too. But I do see the artistic merit, and I do see about 100 different designs in this one house that are so exciting and thoughtful. This is scary. See the light coming in through the skylight and how the mural is playing to that. So this whole segment, right? This whole exhibit, Dave, thank you so much. That is so cool. I really wish that I was there for that. Will I be there for that? Like in a couple of weeks? I would love to see that in person. I love it. I love it when you're going through a museum or so. This is even more immediate because it's like this house. The fact that it's this old house, is part of the feel of it, right? Whatever that conjures up for you, right? Like I was born in the 70s, and that kind of house is very familiar to me. So it brings up all of that, and then this extra layer of all of this patterning and art and all of these colors, all of these motifs, right? They might be stuff that appeals to me. They might not. There might be stuff that appeals to you. And that's why it's so important to go through life with an open heart on your sleeve, and just look and collect, right? Take the things, let them stick to you and stay with you, that are meaningful, that you can use for your projects. And the things that don't mean anything, you just let them go. You don't have to crack on them. You don't have to criticize them. You just let them go. They're for someone else, but not for you, right? Luckily, we don't all like the same things. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to go shopping and have nice things, right? Michelle wouldn't have the rug she did if we all liked the same things, because someone would have bought it before her. But it's great to go through life. It is a good Halloween house, that's true. thinking about composition and art and what you can use in your medium. And if your medium is rug hooking, right, inspiration is absolutely everywhere. Oh, August 14th was the last day, probably bare ground. Oh, that's such a depressing thought. Thank you so much for sending that, because assuming it is leveled now, we got to see it. We all got to see it before it was taken down. So that is something. Thank you for letting us be part of that, because it is a big deal. It's a moment in time, and it's a great idea. I hope they do lots more of that. But the photos that you sent got me thinking about what I consider ideas for compositions. And I have to say, I typically, I have a business, so I work differently. I work book to book and magpie to magpie and pattern to pattern, and I'm always thinking about whether the patterns that I'm putting out are things that are likely to sell, because I have to make money or I can't have my business. So I think along those lines, but the more things kind of loosen up and the more magpies come out, the more people come to the brand, the more sales and books that sell and more sort of passive income that come in, the more I think about projects that I would like to do, still years away, that are more like personal projects, because I never think about that stuff. And two things happened in the last couple of days that made me think for the first time, oh, I could turn that image of mine like into a rug design, because I don't think like that. I think, what do you want to hook as a rug design, and will you buy it if I make it? Right? If I build it, will you come? I never think about things that I have that I would want to turn into storytelling pieces. But I'm getting there. And I was looking through my old scrapbooks for something for the Haunted Rug book, and I found some old pictures. And one of them was this picture. It's a photograph of when I'm in the middle, and I was probably I was probably 23, 24, maybe 25. And I'm there with my friends Kath on the left, who's from Liverpool, and my friend Sherry on the right. And they were never fighting, but they were always talking like this. Sherry came up. I was living outside London, and I was in theater school, and me and Kath were there in costume construction to get a degree. And you can see we did a lot of drinking in those days. We were busy as hornets, and it was a nightmare. The whole thing was a nightmare. But she was my great friend, and she was my housemate, and she said a lot of funny things, like anything I did or anything I did wrong, or if I said something naughty, she'd go, "Oh, you dirty booger." And she said it all the time. And I'm thinking that's what she's saying in this photograph. She talked just like the Beatles. And Sherry would come visit. Sherry was my friend from waitressing from before I went over, and we took a lot of trips to Europe together. Sherry is the person who, in the Magpie that's out now, not the one that's about to come out, right? That's printing now. The one that just came out, that painting that Diane Tobias Velvet Hook, the Midsummer magic painting, Sherry painted that. So that's her on the right, but us years ago. And they are in it to win it. God knows what they're talking about. But I'm sitting in the middle, just using Sherry's lap as like an armrest, listening to them go back and forth. And I can't remember the details of the night and look at the table, so you're not surprised about that. But I do remember that this happened often, and I just loved these conversations, and I wish that I could be back there listening to these kinds of crazy conversations, because they were always fun. And I thought, Rita said it to me. Rita said, she wrote on the thing, "You've got to turn this into a rug." And it was the first time that I thought, I have a photo that I think I will turn into a rug, because I think the dynamic of the figures, I'm just enjoying this show. I'm just enjoying it. It's all entertainment. But the conversation that's happening with the other two is fairly relatable, I think. And I thought, what a lot of fun. This is something I will certainly do in the future. And then this weekend, this happened. And this was the second time that I took a photo, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to make that into a rug. As soon as I get a chance. This is my daughter Jocelyn. You notice that her foot is fractured and she is in the boot. She did this, and I saw her doing it. And by the time I saw her, I was a distance away, and I saw it was no problem. Like, she was doing fine. So if you're thinking I'm a really bad mom, I might be. But this was fine, and she had no injuries. And she could not push her knee scooter through the corn maze, so she wasn't able to do the corn maze over on the right, but me and Papa and Teddy were. But this was a great shot, because it says everything about this child. She is off her chain. If it's there, she's climbing on it, jumping over it, and I just thought, inspiration is everywhere. I don't know that I like the tire in the foreground. I don't know that I don't. I would have to think about that when creating a rug design, but just the row of tires with the fence behind, that big, vast, empty cornfield in that like autumn sky, I just thought, yeah, yeah, I like it when things come out like this. So inspiration is everywhere. That is the point. Next beautiful piece of the night. Let me flip pages here. This is by um, Joseph Gautier. So Joe the Flower Guy. And he writes, just a work in progress based on the photographic image with permission by photographer Fred Horton of Pugwash, Nova Scotia. I could not resist adapting this, having grown up in a community of old farmhouses. The graying clapboards with a pop-colored door draws me in. And his, I think people say handle, is Joe the Flower Guy Rugs, right? And the photographer's handle is Fred Horton Photography. So this is a beautiful piece. I've seen him working on this in the group, hooking with yarn, absolutely gorgeous. Big pop of red, right? That is just stunning. This reminds me of a game that I always love to play. When you're walking somewhere and you see a wacky door like this, particularly in a sort of derelict building, it's a lot of fun to play. What's behind that door, right? It's a talking game. You never know the answer, but it's a lot of fun to play. And I can see why this door would have been so compelling, right? It is so mysterious and old, looks a bit dangerous. Anything could be behind that door. What a beautiful composition. What a beautiful piece. And today, oh no, this one came today. Joe sent a couple other ones a little bit earlier. This is one. He didn't tell me what the name on this one was, but he wrote, it's in an email. He sent me two pieces. This is the first. It's fall. Leaves are starting to change and the kids are back in the classroom on rainy days. So I guess it rains a lot in Canada in the fall. Because here's all these boots and all these little jackets hanging up. And what a great moment in time, right? This is so nostalgic, even for me here in New England, seeing the open cupboard with all the kids' jackets and umbrellas and boots. It is fall. It is absolutely a beautiful, colorful piece, very loose lines, incredible piece of storytelling, right? Just beautiful. And I think he sent one more, yeah, another fall rug. Again, so pretty. As we go into fall, I want to really keep track of all of these beautiful rugs that we see that are leaf rugs, like, you know, patterned leaves. This is much more of a pattern than the first one we saw in this episode, the Valerie Tillman, right? That was more spaced out. This is more, has more of an Escher closeness to it. Things are connected. Whether the leaves are touching or not, the lines, right, the subtle black outlining is connecting them and creating cells, lots of different cells, right? To fill in with color, to fill in with pattern, to fill in with textured wool that will change color all on its own. Absolutely beautiful carpet of leaves, right? Laughing with friends like this is, it is Deborah. It is, I love this. I love this too. These are both beautiful. We had three from Joe the Flower Guy. So make sure you check him out if you haven't looked at him lately. Two great autumn pieces in that really mysterious door. So, so pretty. Taking a different turn now. This is interesting. Different direction. This message came in from Jean and Dick Bruce. They are a rug hooking family. This is a custom frame that is 41 by 29. That's big. And Jean wrote, this is a custom frame my husband made me after I showed him a picture of a bigger frame and the price tag plus shipping that I wanted for my larger projects. He said he could build one for less. This was made out of pine and it is tiltable. I reused the replacement grips from my smaller frame. Hooking has become a family event. He even helps me with my patterns, drawing things to scale when needed. Now, this is a beautiful email. It has turned into a family project, and it is signed Jean and Dick Bruce. So what a beautiful frame, and what a great solution, right? Not everybody has someone in their life who is this handy. It is a great solution to reuse those stretcher combs, because, man, those are the most expensive part of the frame any day. I love how it's tiltable. It is good and big, right? You can get right in there and move your piece around, pull this right up to where you're sitting. You can see it has a good solid footing, right? It has a good solid base. It is absolutely beautiful. Jean, you are a lucky duck, I'll tell you. I wish I had something this size that was this well made. This is great for large rugs, and the fact that it's tiltable means you can tilt it down when you're not using it, and it's not going to take up a ton of space, right? Absolutely beautiful. I love it, and I'm very envious. My buddy Julie Hassler sent in some beautiful pieces too. Hello, Deanna. I have 2 pieces for gallery night. And the descriptions are below. So let's look at number 1. This piece, Julie, I just have to pause to say, you are so good. I just love, Julie was in a class with me last year at Madison Wool. By the way, I just committed to Madison Wool next month, October, doing sugar skulls again, pumpkin sugar skulls. And then the next month in November, I'll be teaching Native Tom, right? So that's been in ribbon candy hooking, but it's one that I've never taught before. So if you are anywhere near Madison, Connecticut, I'll be there both in person, both in October and November. You'll see the dates on my site, Ribbon Candy Hooking, but also Madison Wool. And I saw Julie there when she came to a class last year. And man, you were good then, you are good now. It just, your piece that you did for the Haunted Rug book, woo, you are killing it. This is just incredible. This is Firework Flowers by Julie Hassler, hooked with Scrubology yarn. Did you catch that? Scrubology yarn, sari silk, nylon loops, wrapped over an 11 by 11 gallery frame, just stapled on. There we go. Bob's your uncle. Oh, Carol asked, where do you get gripper strips? Okay, so Carol, that's a great question. So I have a couple of tips because they are online, mostly on Etsy, but I have a couple of tips. One is if you live anywhere near New Hampshire, Door Mill in Newport, New Hampshire, I know this is not going to serve most people, they sell like the end cuts of gripper strips. So irregular ones in packages for dead cheap. The gripper strips come in a different amount of points per inch, right? So they're not necessarily the same number of points. They're mismatched strips, but they're big pieces of strip that you can get on a frame, and it is a massive bargain, but they do not sell them online. They only sell them in the store. So if you're lucky enough to be anywhere near there, that's worth making that trip for. The only other tip I have for you, and maybe other people will come back with this, is that you find them on Etsy. There is one seller on Etsy who is in the Netherlands, and it seems like that would be a bad call because of the shipping, but just compare that seller plus shipping with all of the other sellers. Last time I checked, that Dutch seller was still the least expensive for gripper strips. So if you're searching on Etsy for gripper strips and you're doing US only because you're thinking of shipping, unclick US only, because unless things have changed hugely, that seller is still the best deal for gripper strips because that's where they're manufactured, in the Netherlands. So other people might have other ideas, but those are my 2 top tips for gripper strips. So back to my buddy Julie. So this was hooked in lots of unusual fibers. The Scrubology yarn, which is used to crochet little scrubbies and stuff for the sink and the bath. Sari silk, nylon loops, and it is hooked and then wrapped around the gallery frame, stapled in the back, boom, on the wall. No finishing needed, just like this, right? This is a great idea. This is something to think about. And I'm going to show you a shot of the side. So this is one of the deep ones. There are some of these frames that are called like shadow box frames. They are more expensive, but look at how cool it looks. If you're going to do this, you might want, and you don't have a lot of experience with sewing, you might want to watch the video that I did years ago on sewing a footstool, because it shows you what your shape is supposed to look like. You can't have anything in those corners because you need to close the corners when you have something this deep. And in that video, oh, okay, Carol, great. Carol, have we had this conversation before? Because I'm close to you in Hamden. And are you going to the Halloween party in the Berkshires in October? I would love to see you there. We might have already had this conversation. I'm always sincere in person, but with names on camera, sometimes it's hard if I haven't met you yet. we're also close that I could let you know next time I'm traveling up to Door Mill if you ever want to go together, because I do like to go from time to time, and I'm not buying gripper strips, so they would be all yours. So this is a great project, and it's an easy project, but when you are working on a frame this thick, you have to deal with the pattern piece. I'm going to just show you right now. Let me just show you what the pattern piece looks like, so you don't, I mean, I was going to say so you don't have to watch the video. It'll be good to watch the video because all of your info, all of your detailed info is in that long video. Let me just draw for you. If you're doing something and you're stretching it over a gallery frame like this, your pattern piece is going to look like this. Oh, I screwed that up good. Wait a minute. Screwed that one up good, Mama. Let me try again. All right. Hold on. Do a talk amongst yourselves for 1 second. I'm trying to make this perfect. Matchy, matchy. Here we go. Yep. All right. This is what you need to do. Looks like this, right? And here's your hooking in the center, right? And these are the sides, but you see the 4 corners, they can't have anything hooked. They can't be cut out because it'll start to unravel, but they can't have anything hooked because you have to close those corners with a piece this deep, right? This is how you do it. These parts, like the ears, are longer, wider, if your piece is deeper, right? So this measurement here relates directly to how deep the frame is. You get that perfect and you are golden. But that is a footstool video I have up for you. That is a very long video, goes step by step, and it's going to help a lot if you're going to do a project like this. I think it's a great tip to use to use these kinds of frames because it's such an easy finish, right? Carol says, oh, how great. I had been to Door Mill with the owner of Yankee Cloth. Oh, how fun. Oh, how fun. Yeah, you know, Carol, one additional tip, right? Every time I've gone to Door Mill, they have them. And they have them in a bag, all loosey-goosey. They're just in a bag. And, you know, with one of those stapled things on top, like this is what they cost. I think they figure the cost by inches. If that's the only thing you're going for, just call to make sure. I've never seen them not have multiple kicking around, but just call to check, right? It's for me, it's been like, and I don't buy them there, but I see them and I make like a mental note because it's like something different, you know? So that could be a really good solution for that, right? And it's fun. It's just a fun day trip and not super far. It's far, but it's not super far. What a nice road trip this time of year, right? Julie, that was stunning. And this piece, oh God, did I die when I saw this piece. This piece is called, oh, wait a minute. Nope, wait a minute. Let me come back here. Inspiration for this piece. Julie says, I love fireworks. So that is why this piece was so much fun to make. And scrub yarn makes it sparkle. So it was perfect for this piece. I just love how thick and nubby these the loops are. Right, how some of them are taller than others. She pulled some of them up taller, almost like Prati, but not, because they're hooked. Right, all of that great texture, all of that energy. What a super great piece. Another super great piece. This is called Bird and Two Ponies. I just love this. I love this so much. Materials are linen, wool, scrub yarn, fancy yarn, clipped hook loops. Oh, I see that. You see on the grass how the loops are clipped. They look different. This piece is 11 by 12. Just a fun summer piece under the apple tree. Oh, and she spelled peace like P-E-A-C-E. Oh, I just love this too. Melissa, I can see why you would love this piece. This is like the kind of ghostly quality you put into your work too. I just love it. I love how up on top it's like that pea green and the loops almost look like peas. Such high texture, such variety of texture and color, right? The top is a similar color to the clipped loops at the bottom, but because the texture and the height is so different, they look so different. Little bit of black outlining will get you everywhere. Right? Just a little bit will get you everywhere. It does have like a color shift, ghostly appearance. It is so impossibly charming, this piece. I love the difference between the nubby peas, right? The feel of those loops in the trees, and then that very cut grass. almost looks like blades of grass, doesn't it? Right? Lots of directional hooking, very strong composition. Cass says, so cute. I love this one. I do too. There's something about it, right? There's something about it. There's a lot of things about it. You see there's a little bird perched in the opening of the tree too, and it looks like one of the horses notices that. It's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. It reminds me of like Robert Frost poems. I mean, he has so many poems about apples and apple trees and picking apples. Any of those, right, would do it. But it's absolutely beautiful. Melissa, it reminds me of your blue horses. I think that's what it reminded me of when I first saw it. I just love the texture. Julie, I love the variety. I love the variety. I love that you have found materials that you like to use and you're going for it. It's so good. You are really evolving a style. Yeah, we need to talk more about that. I'm really excited about these pieces. I'm excited about you. And I know you're not coming to the rug thing, because the book thing, because you have another engagement, but I hope I see you soon. Your work is just slaying me. Very inspirational, Ruth, isn't it? So many, it just reminds you of all of the different things that you can do, all of the techniques you can go for. It is super inspirational. Speaking of inspirations, Catherine, come on, how cute. I bought this latch hook kit and added my own interpretation. The rug is mounted to a canvas frame and hooked with my sparkly yarn at the top. The original ears on the pattern were flat at the tips, so I curved them. Right, that's perfect. The canvas was too long, so I stained a piece of wood with 3 different colors and etched some lines. You see that down below? And etched some lines. I nailed the wood to the bottom part of the canvas. Next, I cut a dog toy ball in half and epoxied it to the wooden board. You see how that's working out? This is amazing. I wanted it to look like the Frenchie was eyeing the ball on the table or picnic bench. The real female French bulldog is 4 months old, and she loves her lazy boy dog bed and her new friend. This is great in so many ways, isn't it? Because people do talk disparagingly about latch. There is nothing wrong with latch. It is a high pile rug, right? Hookers tend to make lower pile rugs. This is a higher pile rug. Nobody says anything against Rhea rugs, but latch has taken a beating over the years. I think the reason for that is the design on many of the kits. Come on, all of the kits for all of those years. If you get a latch kit or you do an original latch design and you're using you can use some pre-cuts, right? Some of the pre-cuts are acrylic and they're great. You can use your own yarn. You can use yarn from Joann's or Michael's, Hobby Lobby, the knitting store if you want to splash out. You can mix colors in one knot, right? You're using latch hook and latch hook backing. It's still a beautiful rug. This is how beautiful it can be. This is like, for me, the sort of epitome of where you can go with latch. You can go so far with latch, right? It's just a higher pile. Think about what you mean to do. This is so graphic, has such humor, is such a lot of fun. It's absolutely brilliant. Catherine, it's brilliant. I love that you cut the ball in half, and I love that you put that wood piece. It's such a great storytelling piece. It's just perfect. It's just perfect, and it's hung in the perfect place. That little Frenchie is too cute. I'm so glad that you did this, because it's not often enough that we show a latch piece that is stunning, right? It's not often enough. Somebody posted one today, I noticed in our Facebook group. It was like a blue animal. I'm trying to remember if it was like a dog and it had like an orange background. It was very simple, but it was super, super pretty. I stopped scrolling when I saw it and I thought, ooh, that's really got something. You know, we don't talk enough about good latch pieces. We all see latch pieces that we think are like, you know, we've seen that before. And everybody gets to like what they like, right? But we are more and more seeing latch pieces that are exceptional. And I want to make a note of that, and I want to keep repeating that, because pieces like that, Catherine, gorgeous. Okay, so Maureen Mativa sent this in. Hi, Deanna. I love this large rug that she found at an antique festival in Midland, Missouri. Yep, Missouri. It no, wait a minute. M-I. Missouri is M-O, isn't it? Michigan. Michigan. Midland, Michigan. It is hooked with wool yarn. Unfortunately, it is faded, but otherwise in very good condition. No holes or tears. Tears. Sorry. But it measures approximately, get ready, 58 by 35. It is a large piece. We only have a couple more rugs, just so you know, time wise. It is absolutely gorgeous. Let me show you some other views of it. So it is a bit faded, but it is an exceptional piece. Who knows? I'm not going to be able to think of this, but there was a rug hooking company out in like it was like a Midwest company, early to middle 20th century. I think maybe right through to like the 80s, maybe. Um, it was, I think, a guy's name. They were fairly prolific. It was a proper full blast company. It wasn't like a single artist. And they did a lot of cowboy motifs, and they did a lot with text. And I know I talked about this brand in a past show. I'm never going to think of it because it was just the once. But I remember thinking, interesting, interesting. I would bet you anything this is one of those rugs. I think it is just gorgeous. It looks like it has been washed, and it looks like it's. I think it looks like it's definitely been washed or hosed a lot, because you can see that the color, the original color, is in there. The loops are a bit bleached out, but the original color is in there. So, hi ho silver, exactly. So what can you do in this situation, right? Where you feel like there is a lot of color loss, you can leave it. I mean, I like this rug faded, I have to say, and um, good condition. Yeah, it is in really good condition. Um, oh, wait a minute. There's more. There's more text. Do you or does anyone have any idea of the history of this rug? I'm guessing that it is from the 1950s based on subject matter. I would love to know more about it. And no, I do not have anyone in the family named Joey, but I could not pass it up. I have attached three photos: front view, reverse view. Okay, so I think that's reverse view. And wait a minute. Hang on. Front view. Huh. Oh, I think she flipped it. That's it. She flipped it for us. Okay, so that's the front view, and the reverse view. You know what? I think that's the reverse view, isn't it? I think it must be because it's not that faded, and probably the front is quite faded. That would make more sense. Um, a close up of the hooked yarn to show the fading, and Maureen wrote, "Full disclosure, I washed it in the bathtub and I dried it over the dog crate. I love watching gallery night. I'm always so impressed with everyone's creativity and skill. Warm regards." Oh, thank you. Me too. I'm always so impressed with everybody's everything. Um, yeah, so true. So listen, this is what I'm thinking. I'm never going to think of this guy's name, but I know it is going to. I mean, I have like 1,000 shows up. I know that I have the catalog of his work. It's a company, but I'm sure it's a guy's name in the studio, and I'm going through the studio, clearing stuff out because I don't want to have this studio anymore. I'm so tired of having that extra expense and driving over there. I will find it, and I will let you know when I find it, unless somebody gets there before me. It's a beautiful rug. If ever, and I don't think this is a good example, if ever you do find a rug that is so faded, look at some of my past videos about using those um, brush tip, paintbrush tip empty reservoir pens that you can get on Amazon, or to paint the loops, right? To use dye, same dyes that you use to dye, Cushing, Dharma, Prochem, little pot of dye, careful, careful, and either fill the reservoir of one of those reservoir pens and paint the tops of the loops carefully and slowly. You can get color on there and it works great. Or just a paintbrush, flip maybe a little flathead one, not too wide. Ways to add color back to rugs. I think this looks good faded, mostly because of the subject. But I will remember about this rug. And when I find that book, I will remember to bring it up. And I'll post it in the Facebook group too. Yeah, painting it is not a bad idea, Maureen. I didn't know you were there. I think you logged on earlier. Sorry. It's not a bad idea because you can get really close. If you need help with matching or whatever, you can always send me close-up photos, and I can tell you if I have, for example, the blue that would match. And if I have tons of Cushing packets, I'm happy to send you packets if I have extra ones of that color. I'm happy to send them, just to give them to you so you could experiment with that. And I have some of those reservoir pens too. If you wanted to do that and take a few videos and let us know how it goes, that'd be a great project for us all to look at. That would be super, super fun. All right, I'm going to keep going. I knew we are going to be a little bit later because it's just we have so much good work every time now. Ruth, this is you. Ruth, here are my first two needle punch pieces. And you created these patterns. So Ruth, you punched both of these, right? You didn't do these as rug hooks, but you punched them, and you knew how to make them into a pillow. This is just beautiful. These are your own designs. I am so impressed that you came out of that gate and you started running with your own design. And since it's your own design, yes, you punched both of these. You chose your own colors. Did you ever hit the ball out of the park? Let's start with the paisley one, right? Such beautiful colors, simple colors, just what we've been saying throughout the episode. Controlled color palette, just gorgeous. I love the way your loops are looking. It looks like you've got fairly thick yarn going. It's very clean and tidy. Your design worked great. The fact of it being a pillow, you technically put both of these pieces together beautifully. It is absolutely gorgeous. You have got a great color plan. It is perfectly executed. I can't imagine how you did this coming right out of the gate like that, but this is phenomenal. I love the paisley on the left. I also love the one on the right. It is just beautiful. I'm seeing all kinds of symbolism here. I'm seeing all kinds of color shifts. You have got that star hooked in such a way that it is properly tucked behind, right? It is moving almost like a knot, right? That is done so expertly. I just can't, this is incredible. You used some blue and some purple in the background of I'm looking at the one on the right. I see the little fish there too, right? All of the symbolism is beautiful. The fact that the colors are moving from like purple to purple and blue to blue, you did a blocky hit or miss background and you are just starting out, right? You haven't had classes in how to do hit or miss backgrounds. You just did it, right? This is divine inspiration right here, right? You just did it. You are going to be great at this craft. This is beautifully executed. And Ruth, my husband hooked the star. I did the background. Oh, interesting. So you punched the background and then you flipped the piece over and he hooked the star because that was the part that was left over. I wonder if that's how you did it. Such a beautiful piece. I love to see backgrounds like this that are blocked in different ways. Got you. Great, 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 great. I'm glad those videos are useful. I know a lot of people write and say, "Oh, I watch your videos," and I'm so happy when I hear that because sometimes I feel like I'm living in a vacuum, right? Because I'm just in an empty room talking to myself, but I'm not, right? So it's great to be reminded. So glad that that was useful and that helped. These are both incredible pieces. I just love that you just know they were both punched. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so he punched part of it and you punched the other part of it. Absolutely beautiful. Colors are so pretty too. The blue, the purple with the gold and the white. That is so striking. They both have lovely color palettes. I just love the background of the pillow on the right. I just love how you broke it up, right? It's so fluid. It's so abstract. It's so artistic. It's extremely well done. My mom says, beautiful pieces. A team family effort is wonderful. It really is. It's so fun to find things that you like to do together and to be able to work together on the same projects. It's just more stuff to talk about, more time to spend together, right? And you must be, Ruth, so encouraged, and your husband. You must both be so encouraged by the way that these two first pieces came out, right? I mean, you can't look at these and say, I'm not sure I'm onto something here. You must look at these and say, yeah, this is going to work out, right? This is a good thing to have found, right? You are absolutely, and your husband too, absolutely a natural at doing this. Judy says, I'm impressed with how many folks are hooking and punching with partners. Me too. Me too. That is really, really fantastic. Thanks. So Ruth, you said, thanks. I used cake yarn that you already had. That's interesting because those great cake colors, right, that you can get at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever, they color change for you. Now, isn't that a great thing to mention? Because when you're filling in backgrounds, we tend to go crazy as rug makers, trying to find a little bit of this purple, a little bit of that purple. When you're working with these yarns, they color change on their own, right? And it's random. And then the piece looks like a proper and classic hit or miss piece because those color changes are happening at random intervals. And that is because of the cake of color, isn't it? Because it changes color every so many yards. That's a great tip, because knowing that you can just fill in a background using one of those cakes and you can get these kinds of color shifts that look so old-timey rug hooking, that's a great tip and a great hack, right? That's something we can all do again and again and again. Absolutely beautiful, Ruth. You hit it out of the park. Please tell your husband, beautiful work, and I cannot wait to see more. If this is any sort of indicator of where you're going, I'm blown away. Lorna Vogel. Hi, Deanna. I hope I'm not too late in sending these pictures to you. I chose this rug that I hooked 8 years ago because it was so much fun to create. I have been hooking for 15 years now. In making this rug that is 28 by 19, I incorporated beading, couching, shirring, quillies, and rosette flowers made from men's silk ties. What a great idea that is. Love watching Gallery Night because of all your amazing knowledge and positivity. Thanks, Lorna. Thank you so much for all you do with the rug cooking community. Aw. And Lorna, I'm looking forward to meeting you at Tigger too. I can't wait. Just realized, yeah, you sent them in a different email, and I got them. This is just a beautiful piece. Now, that's a lot of techniques in one piece, isn't it? What a lot of fun. Let's talk about that again. Beading, obviously hooking, beading, couching, hooking, shirring, quillies, and rosette flowers made from silk neckties. That is brilliant. Oh, I see what's going on here. Wow, that really is like a sampler of techniques. It is a hooked piece that is working as a vehicle for all of these other techniques. And because it is a fairly monochromatic piece of these gorgeous, rich, chocolatey colors, it really holds together beautifully. It is so charming, and it really is a great sampler. This is a stunning quilly with some standing wool around it. This is a great sampler of what you can do with lots of different techniques, trying everything out, and then you've done it. Just one or two, and then you've done it, right? You can say, I have done it. I am not a deer in the headlights. I know how this works. I know what to do. What a great feeling, right? And what a great piece to employ all of these different techniques. My mom says, wow, I love the Create Sampler piece. I love having inspiration pieces around the house to fire my creative energy. Such a positive message, right? Create, just a reminder, right? And this piece really is like quintessential creation piece. We're seeing all kinds of different fibers. I can see better that rosette now. I can see the pattern that was the necktie. It's absolutely, it's gorgeous. It's just a gorgeous piece. Very inspirational. Hold on one second. I lost track of where we are. There we are. All right. Gosh, that was a good piece. Lorna, what a fun piece. And I can't wait to see you at Tigger. It's coming up really soon. All right. So we have, I think, 2 more. Sorry, I know I said that before, but I had dropped a piece on the floor. You know what I'm going to do? Diane Smith sent a great question. And I think I'm going to turn it into a show for this coming week. Let's do that. Because it's a question that has a long answer, and it's a whole show. So Diane, let's do this week. Let's do this. I was going to continue on with the early American flooring, like floor coverings tomorrow. Let's do this instead. So this is what Diane wrote, and this will be a cue for our Monday show, which is coffee time, at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this channel, Ribbon Candy Hooking, tomorrow. Diane Smith wrote, How do you know if the data attached to an online rug is reliable? In other words, if you pull a rug up on a website, is that an honest and knowledgeable write-up? Or are we talking out of a body part that is not worthy of text on the internet, particularly on a selling website? This is a great question. This is a great question because, like Michelle was saying earlier, Michelle Holler, we do shop online. We look for treasures online too. Not everybody has treasures all over the place. I'm in New England. I'm very lucky that I do. I appreciate that a lot of people aren't, and you're looking for stuff online. It is a great question. How reliable is the information that you're getting? I'm going to start tomorrow's episode with this question, and that will be what the episode's about tomorrow. And that will bring us to the last rug of the night. And Carol Palat, my buddy in Wisconsin, this is yours. Just wanted to share a success story. This pictograph rug of mine had been sitting safely in front of the sink on my bathroom floor for nearly 2 years when yesterday I accidentally dumped coconut oil all over the lower right. I almost had a heart attack. Anyway, I poured Dawn dishwashing liquid all over the oil spill, rinsed and rinsed with hot water, then hung it over the tub to dry. Today, it is as good as new. Woo! So, yeah, I hear you on that. That is so scary. That is a great message, right? That is a great message. A little bit of Dawn. It's super. It's not just for ducklings, right? It's super for fiber stuff, for fibers too. Also Eucalan and any Woolite, any of these gentle cleaners. But Dawn is great. It's very, very gentle. And you can see this is the bottom right. And it looks great. Nothing bad happened. Carol, I snuck that one off of Facebook. So thank you for that. That is absolutely beautiful. Speaking of spills, I'm going to go out on a silly story. And I'll remind you, if you're tired already, coffee time's coming up tomorrow because it's not Friday. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. Hold on one second. I just remembered I had, oh no, we're good. Doctor's appointments, dentist appointments for both kids, but not until 2:30, so we're good. Dawn cleans, is a miracle worker, isn't it? It cleans anything. Spill story for you. It will go out on a silly story, so no more content. I'm just probably oversharing for just a second. And I'm almost ready for my dinner because I'm starving. Did you hear that subtle cue? It didn't work. Yesterday, I knew that I would be doing the show tonight, and I have been going full blast with the Haunted Rug book. Really full blast with orders. I feel like I'm doing great with everything. Like, sorry if that sounds conceited, but even Shannon noticed that, like, I'm managing very, very well. Normally, with this much busyness and this many things creeping in on me, this would be like the table busting, wall punching time of the year. But I have been cool as a cucumber and getting things done. And it's just, I'm not on anything. I'm just making things work lately. It's amazing. So it occurred to me that today it had been just busy day after busy day. And I wanted to do something with the kids for the weekend. And I wanted to do something, with fall coming and my calendar looking like it looks. And so I knew that today would be out. So when I woke up yesterday, I always wake up a bit early and get going with stuff. And I thought, ooh, I have a show tomorrow night. If I don't take the kids to do something fun today, then they won't be able to, then we're not doing anything this weekend. So I thought, ooh, I got a couple of orders out that we're going to Canada because I thought traveling far. And I said to the kids, like, should we go try to do a corn maze today and to have a bit of an adventure? So we decided to do that. We said, let's go to Yankee Candle, the flagship store in Deerfield, which is like the best place in the world. And let's go to a corn maze out there called Mike's Maze, right, which we've never been to. Turned out to be fantastic. That's where I took that picture of Joss on the tires. So we ended up driving out to Massachusetts, which was like an hour and 40 minutes each way. Perfect. Beautiful, easy drive. Beautiful part of the country. Haven't been there lately. Haven't been to Yankee Candle for 2 years. We did those two things and it was so much fun. And then we were hungry and we passed this cute Chinese restaurant. And my favorite restaurants are the ones that say like some of the letters are burnt out and it says like family restaurant cocktails. I always go for that because they're old timey and nothing has changed. And I love those kinds of roadsidey, nostalgic places. And this was a Chinese restaurant that looked like that. God, it was just amazing. We went in there. It was. I'm going to give a plug to this place because I wrote a recommendation. I took the time to write a long recommendation on the internet too. It honestly, I think, was my favorite dining experience of my life. We walked in there, and the woman who was there, she's like the cook watch. What's the expression? Cook something in bottle cleaner. You know that expression? Bottle washer and nah, I can't remember, but you know what I mean. She's like the waitress. She doesn't cook, but she's a waitress. She does everything. So we went in, Lori, and she was so surprised to see us. Like she was just surprised that we were there. And I said, four for dinner, and she was like, ooh, we're only open like in this one little part of the restaurant because like since COVID has been quiet and there's not a lot of people, so we don't like seat like in 90% of the restaurant. And I looked over and it's 1976 this place was built and it was still very 1976. I've just never felt like that. We're talking about how it felt like in Dave's photos. It was like I was in 1976 again. All of these booths, these red vinyl booths, hanging over every table, a light, and the shade was bark cloth, but each one was different. And it gave this kind of red orange glow. And I could see that the rest of the dining room was dim. So we chose a booth that was right by the window. It was such a moment in time. And Lori came over and she said, okay, so here's the menu. But you can only order things on this part of the menu because like the kitchen doesn't do the full. And I thought, okay, okay, we can make it work, right? It's going to be Chinese food and we love Chinese food. It was perfect. We got like combination dinners. We ordered stuff that we were very, very happy with. And I said to her, Lori, when I go out for Chinese food, in my head, I have got to have a Mai Tai. It's hardwired. She said, I can do a very good Mai Tai. And I said, you're speaking my language. So she went off to do the Mai Tai. And she brings it back and she puts it down in front of me. And it was the strongest and best Mai Tai I've ever had. And my husband said, who is not drinking at all anymore, he said, do you have any non-alcoholic beers? And she said, this is a crazy story. She said, well, we used to have some O'Douls, but that was during COVID, and I'm not sure they're good anymore. And she kind of walked away. And my husband called her back because she brought like chips and stuff. And he said, I'm going to take a chance on that O'Douls. He said, I don't think beer really goes bad. It's not that old. And she was like, I don't know if you should. And I said to him, like, if you have any problems, right, it's on you because you're drinking beer that's expired. That part turned out to actually be okay. So she goes away. She comes back with the O'Douls. She trips. And she smashed the O'Douls into my Mai Tai. We didn't have the food yet. We all picked up our phones. That was the first thing that happened. Mai Tai in beer, and you know how when beer comes out of a bottle, it's like a volcano, erupted everywhere. And Jocelyn, unfortunately, got the brunt of it. Me and Jocelyn on our side. She had on, I had on, I think I had a skirt on. I did have a skirt on. She had on like shorts. We were so soaked and sticky that we had to go into the bathroom through the closed part of it was very charming and atmospheric. I had to actually take my skirt off, lock the door, run it under the water, wring it out, and put it on soaking wet because it was better having a soaking wet skirt than having a sticky Mai Tai skirt, right? Everything seemed like it was wrong and a problem. And I started to laugh as soon as she walked away, and I couldn't stop. And then she brought the food, and honest to God, it was the best food I have ever eaten in my life. It was unreal. And it came with these two special sauces. One, I'm going to tell you what they are because I was told. And I don't know the ratios, right? So I'm not being a jerk. She said, Alfred, no, it's something else. It's not that. I'm going to say Albert, but I don't think that's right. He makes these sauces, and she said they're both like super special, and he learned to make them. He's from China. He came over here in 1976, or just a little bit before, saved money as a dishwasher, opened this restaurant, and he's been here ever since with his wife, making it work. They had children. They have grandchildren. He made this one little sauce that the base was applesauce, just applesauce, and I think it had balsamic vinegar in it, and that's it. Oh, that was one of the best things I've ever had in my life. That would be good on pork, chicken, anything. It was amazing. The other one was like an oil thing, and he had like the crushed red pepper and another ingredient that I'm not sure what it was, but they were the two best dipping sauces I have ever had. I poured them both all over my food. We all finished our. There was not one grain of rice left. Even Jocelyn ate her food. It was in. We changed booths, right, because of the volcano and the flood, and it was just the best. And in the end, I'm going to stick with Albert, I think, but I know that wasn't his name. It was Al something. He came out to talk to us because he could tell we were laughing. We were the only ones in the restaurant having a great time, and he stayed and chatted for about half an hour, telling stories about when he first came over and how he had like tears in his eyes. He was like wiping away tears in his eyes. How he was so excited when he got the chance to come to the U.S. I hope I don't make myself cry. And he said it was such a great opportunity, and he was so young, and he took it. And he said, he got here and he felt like he got a job. If you're willing to work, you can get a job. And he got a job, and he saved his money, and he opened this restaurant, and it has been his life. And he loves it, and he's retirement age, but he's not going to close it. It was just the best evening. It was just the best. It was the best food, the best evening. It was so heartwarming and amazing. I will definitely go back. The place is called The Walk. Be prepared for most of the dining room to be shut, and be prepared to choose just from a few items on the combination plates and the appetizers. But Lori will certainly be there, and she will make you a mean Mai Tai. Um, just hold on to everything. It was so much fun, and it was so funny. And I hope that you have stories like that. It really just made my heart like happy and warm, and everything has been so busy lately, but having a great night like that, to be able to laugh that hard and reset, just did me like a world of good. It was just amazing. Um, no, that was the one spill. My mom said Joss didn't cause that spill. No, that was like the one spill in our lifetimes that wasn't caused by Jocelyn, the incredible spiller. No, this was all Lori. Man, was she embarrassed? I felt so bad for her. But I said to her, "Look it, anybody can spill anything at any time." She tripped on the carpet. But God, it was just the most perfect day. It was just the most perfect. Chef, cook, and bottle washer. Thank you, Diane. That's just what I was going for. And Dave says there was a diner in Toronto that had a neon sign with good food, but the letters were mostly burnt out, so it said goof. And the place was just known as the Goof. and called that. True story. That's a great name for a place. That's a great backstory. Yeah, I'm so worried that these little roadside places are disappearing so fast. And they are. They are. Sometimes I go to a place that last time I was in that town or that state, I ate there, and it's either shut or it's gone. And that makes me so nervous. I try to do as much as I can with my kids, because I say to them, like, look at this. This is 1976 right here. Look around. This is what it looked like. When you were there, it felt like Papa Brillo's to me, Mom, when we lived in Rhode Island. That's the same atmosphere. It's just what it felt like. It's a time capsule. You can have decorators redo your life to make it look like it was back then, but it's actually the way it was back then. And there are places, obviously, that are much older than that, too, that still look the way they used to look. What a gift to find something like that. It was The Walk in Deerfield, Massachusetts, right up the street from Yankee Candle. What a great combo. Bunch of antique stores on that stretch right there. Talk about a great day out. A couple of cute little sort of museums, a fossils museum for kids. God, it's just amazing. Take a road trip if you're anywhere near there. It was fantastic. Don't forget to eat at The Walk. It was just amazing. Best therapy possible. Family togetherness, some good food, good laughs. It really was fantastic. So I'm going to go have my dinner now, and I will come back to you tomorrow. I'm putting this right on top of my computer, so we remember to start with Diane Smith's question about the sort of integrity, the reliability, the honesty of rugs that you find online. And she particularly sent a link to First Dibs. So we're going to look at First Dibs tomorrow. I'm not going to look at eBay or live auctioneers. We're going to look at First Dibs specifically. And we're going to look at some of the rugs that are on there. We're going to talk about value, and we're going to talk about accountability in terms of how things are advertised. So I will be with you tomorrow at 11 a.m. for that. If you need me in the meantime, I am at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Don't forget about the Writers Club coming up. Don't forget about the book club coming up, Indigo Girl by Natasha Boyd. Don't forget about the Haunted Rug book and the party on pre-sale for beginners, for friends, for newbies, for everybody, for seasoned hooking vets, for everybody, for fun and to spend some time together. That's coming up too. I will see you tomorrow. I'll remind you about everything then. Have a great night, everybody. It was a